saying they bring people together and promote national cohesion through cultural and traditional songs.
Let's now head to the counties where musicians and other artists are set to earn at least 6 billion shillings annually from a new levy introduced by the Music Copyright Society of Kenya. Now, the blank tape levy, also known as private copying levy, was rolled out in line with the Music Copyright Act. Let's get the details in our continuous roundup.
According to the Music Copyright Society of Kenya CEO Ezekiel Mutua, the levy is a nominal fee set to be charged on all gadgets with capacity to record music and is meant to generate money to support creatives.
Na ni mojawapo ya njia bunifu ambazo tunatumia kuhakikisha kwamba wasanii wa nchi hii wametambulika. Tubadilishe mbinu za kuokota revenue. Tutafute mbinu ambazo zinaegemea teknolojia.
Meanwhile, the National Steering Committee on Peace Building has called for peaceful coexistence and fostering for a long-lasting cohesion among members of the pastoralist communities in Isiolo County. In Kisii, the county government has partnered with KBC International Health Foundation to deal with cardiovascular ailments. The partnership will entail research, training and donation of medical equipment.
Both sides are determined to carry this project forward, our collaboration forward for the sake of our people in Kenya.
A cardiovascular center, which will not only serve our county, but the entire REC region economic bloc. Due to increased demand for specialist services in the country, we seek to increase the number of consultants in our fold, including nursing specialists, once the Public Service Board is in place.
Still in Kisii County, a sensitization campaign to end cycle of gender-based violence has been launched following increase in cases of gender-based violence.
Tunaenda around tukisema tokeni nje, msiumie, hata wababa wanachapwa, sio wamama peke yake. It's only that percentage ya wamama iko juu kushinda ile ya wababa, msikufe na shida zenyu.
And the Kenya Veterans for Peace Chief Executive Officer Nelson Sechere has hailed the just concluded Kenya Defence Forces national recruitment as transparent and free of corruption.
Every Kenyan received a message telling him, look, you can be an officer without corruption, and that has been achieved. Largely this year there has been very few cases of corruption or officers being involved in bribery. So it has been a very successful exercise.
And police in Makongeni, Thika, Kiambu County are holding one suspect in connection with theft of drugs at Makongeni Health Center. The officer who is in charge of the facility's pharmacy is said to have been nabbed after some drugs went missing mysteriously.
Kama wewe ni mfanyikazi wetu na kazi yako ni kuchukua madawa ukipeleka nje, siku zako zimehesabiwa na tunakungulika na tutakupata.
Meanwhile, the government and other stakeholders have been challenged to do more empowerment of female teachers working in the northern eastern region, as well as promote girl child education. The Kenya Women Teachers Association National Coordinator Saboke Dunstan said the girl child education was still under threats.
We are going to create an office in Garissa that will be able to tackle any challenges that the female teachers are undergoing.
Finally, residents of Lari constituency have a reason to smile after the government tarmacked some roads in the region. Residents welcome the project, saying it will ease movement, support trade, farming, as well as coexistence.
Mambo ya kubeba majani chai na mambo ya kutoa ya chakula. Pesa tulikuwa tunakatwa kwa factory ya barabara, sasa itarudi kwa mkulima.
Mpango huu wa barabara za Maumau tuko na zaidi ya kilomita 80. Going to 100, karibu kilomita 100 ziko katika constituency ya Lari. Na tutasaidia sana, hakuna mtu atatembea kilomita 2 ili kufika kwa lami.
We now head to sports where Faith Kipyegon does it again. Kipyegon clocked 3 minutes, 50.72 seconds to clinch her 5th Diamond League title in women's 50-100 meters race in the Diamond League final in Eugene, Oregon, that is the United States. Ferdinand Omanyala finished 3rd in the men's 100 meters race, finishing in 9.85 seconds, while Simon Kiprop won the men's 3,000 meters steeplechase race, clocking 8 minutes, 6.26 seconds.
Faith Kipyegon has again posted great results after winning the women's 1500-meter race in 3 minutes, 50.72 seconds to win her 5th Diamond League title. The 29-year-old Kenyan was comfortable throughout the 4 laps and beat world silver medalist Diribe Wetleji from Ethiopia and parallel opponents Laura Muir and Jessica Hull.
Kipyegon crosses the line there, 350.71.
In the men's 2,000-meter steeplechase race, Simon Kiprop took the lead after finishing in 8 minutes, 6.26 seconds, just few seconds ahead of Ethiopian's Fayou Samuel, who finished in 8 minutes, 10.74 seconds. Meanwhile, Ferdinand Omanyala secured the 3rd position in the men's 100-meter race, behind Coleman Christian and Liz Noah, who are position 1 and 2 respectively. 3 races are on card tonight, with Emmanuel Anyonyi and Wycliffe Kinyama participating in the men's 800-meter race. Beatrice Chebet and Lilian Kasait will be participating in the women's 5,000-meter race, while Mary Mora will participate in the women's 800-meter race.
Well, and to matters football, where Posta Rangers have moved to the top of the Kenya Premier League standings on goal difference after beating Sofapaka 3-1 in a league match played at the Kasarani Annex Stadium. In another match, defending champions, that is Gor Mahia, thrashed Nairobi City Stars 4-1.
Peter Thiongo scored a brace as Posta Rangers beat Sofapaka 3-1 at Kasarani Annex Stadium to record their 2nd league win of the season. New signing Jackson Macharia scored Posta's opening goal in the 49th minute, before Thiongo added the 2nd goal in the 70th minute. Thiongo completed his double 4 minutes later, before Oliver Maloba scored a consolation goal in the 70th minute. Posta Rangers are now top of the league standings with 7 points, same as defending champions Gor Mahia, but have a superior goal difference.
I'm happy because I think getting 3 points, and especially at the start of the league, is a motivation to the team. And again, I love the competition that I'm seeing in the team, because the game, basically we've won it from the depth.
Na wazaposte wametuzidia chances, wametumia chances zao zenye wamepata, na si hatukuweza kutumia chances tumecreate, na ndio maana unaona tunatoka 3-1.
In other matches, Gor Mahia thrashed Nairobi City Stars 4-1. Kariobangi Sharks beat KCB 2-1, while Talanta humbled Moranga Seal 1-0.
That report brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you so much for your time. Stay with us if you can. Vivian Degwa and Victor Lowe are still here to take you through the program. Good Morning Kenya still continues. So until next time, I do wish you a great day.
Are you seriously saying that, Alba? Your brother-in-law's life is hanging by a thread, and you're worrying how to make sure that the numbers add up? You were unbelievable.
Relax, don't be so tense. Rodolfo, come quickly, Sergio's awake. There goes Morma.
Tell us who hired you to hurt this man. Who? Speak up!
Amparo Reveles. I overheard something that I'd like to believe was Sergio's hallucination. He said he is in love with you, Isabel. Now please, tell me that isn't true. I cannot believe this.
Tafadhali. Well, I hope Dingo amekupatia habari kwamba lawyer alikuwa hapa jana. And very soon Abel wangu atakuja hapa kuishi na sisi. Itakuwa ndoa yetu si ya kubahatisha tena. We will be a family. Oh yes. That is the face I want to see for the rest of my life.
Hapa kuna cha kurelax. Baba na mama kila siku wagombana huko juu. Hapa vurugu mwanzo mwisho. Mama mdogo naye yuko lakini yeye naye ana yake kabisa, mara yuko mara hayuko.
Mama njoo huku, mimi nakuhitaji.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wamekama up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free. What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea Studio Mashinani huko Comarox, Langata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga, Kitui next to Manyanyoni Chiefs Camp na Kisumu City wako hapo KBC Station. Usilalie talent. This is your chance to commercialize and popularize your talent through Studio Mashinani.
Welcome back. It's now 4 minutes past 7 a.m. I hope you are having a good morning so far. Welcome back to the program. Today being a Monday, 18th day of September 2023, Eye on Politics. We want to talk much more in as far as politics is concerned. But right about now, I'll be joined in studio by my guest already. They're settling up shortly. I'll introduce them. But as we speak, I have Deputy Governor of the Great People of Machakos, that is Francis Mwangangi, as well as Justine Wamai, who is a progressive leader, the way she calls herself, as well as she is the running mate during the last general election Roots Party. We'll get into that shortly, but right about now, how about I take you through the traffic? Now, before you leave the house, a quick one, as usual, how we do it here. Let me take you through the major roads here. Let me start with Thika Road. This is the situation already. This is it. All the way from KCA University, already bumper to bumper. That is moving past the Muthaiga Square. And that spills over to Kiambu Road, heading to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. But after the Muthaiga Square interchange there, it's moving pretty well until you come into the roundabout, that is Globe Roundabout, coming into the CBD. Wayaki Way from the western side of the city, that is all the way from ABC Place, Kangemi, down to Westlands, roundabout, thereabout, all moving pretty fine past the National Museum of Kenya, coming into the CBD, moving very well. How about Langata Road? So far, so good. From the Nairobi National Park down to Onyonka, that is Uru Gardens, all moving pretty fine. So if you're using Langata Road, please leave the house right now. It starts to be a bit, bumper to bumper as you approach the Bunyala roundabout from the other side of the Aerodrome Road. That's where the issue is, but because of the roundabout. But nonetheless, everything is moving pretty fine. Now, somebody asked me, what about Jogo Road? Jogo Road is moving fine until you get to Makadara. That is just after Makadara, then coming to exactly from Makadara, coming all the way towards Njiwa and coming towards the Rikana supermarket. That's where the problem is. But after that, Jogo Road is moving pretty fine until you get to the City Stadium. That is that. How about those people who are in Kisumu? Good morning. Kisumu, so far so good. That is Kakamega Road coming to Kondele, joining the CBD. all fine. Just a bit of some traffic, a bit of it, as you join the Kondela roundabout. After that, everything moving fine as you come into the CBD. Outbound towards the Kisumu International Airport, so far so good. Outwards towards Ahero, etc., also moving pretty fine. And finally, Mombasa, good morning. Mombasa, nothing to worry about today. Watu Mombasa, I hope you are doing fine. That is Nyali Road. All moving fine. A bit of some traffic as you come towards Kongoya Market. That is around Kengeleni. That's where the problem is because of the traffic situation here. But as you move towards the Nyali New Bridge, everything moving pretty fine. I think because of the measures which were put by the county government of Mombasa to control the flow of traffic there by reducing the number of heavy traffic commercial vehicles there. And coming from that side of Bangladesh, Changamwe, coming to Makupa Bridge, kila kitu iko shwari, watu Mombasa, that is where we are. The problem is at the Likoni Ferry crossing channel. That is where the problem is. But after that, so far, so good. That is as far as our traffic in our major cities is concerned. Very well. Now, let's cross over, come back to studio. And today we'll be talking about the issue of cost of living, the spat between leaders of the Kenya Kwanza. Yeah, so you may have it so. And in the studio I have got Justina Omai, who is a progressive leader and a former running mate Roots Party in the last general election. Justina, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Morning, Victor.
Karibu sana.
I'm laughing because I told you that name will get you sued. Never mention that party again.
I'll get used to it. I'll get used to it.
But it's a good morning.
Karibu.
And when I was coming, there was so much traffic on Eastern Bypass. There's the recruitment of the army.
Yeah.
So I wish them all the luck.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. It's still ongoing, so if you can go and try your luck, the way she said,
yes.
Go ahead and try your luck. Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi, representing the great people of Machakos County, our neighbors across the road. The other day I was making fun that tukichafua maji in Nairobi, you'll not give us anything from Ukambani. Is that so? So we have to be nice to you.
Victor, you are still making a mistake. Remember, we are not for unfairness in life.
Yes.
This is normal. You know, you are supposed to be in Machakos. The border is this highway here. You know, Mombasa Road, Uhuru Highway, this Forest Road, Upper Museum, all the way Thika.
Yes.
That originally is what Machakos was all about. But you are right on pollution of rivers. So, but it is a circle thing.
Yeah.
You pollute it here. You use polluted river to make.
All right.
To do agriculture.
We'll
that product comes back to you.
I'll get back to you shortly.
Yes.
I'll get back to you shortly.
So, good morning,
right.
Kenya. Nice inviting me.
Asante. Yeah. Okay, let me take you through the front page of our local dailies, starting with the front page of the Standard newspaper. I've got 3 newspapers here. I've got the Star, the Daily Nation, as well as the Standard newspaper. Let me start with the front page of the Standard newspaper. What do we have? Kenya Kwanza. It will only get worse. That is what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Kenya Kwanza, it will only get worse. In the heydays of Tanga Tanga Group, they castigated President Uhuru Kenyatta as careless leader when prices of fuel hit 134. Now in government prices well over 200 shillings. They want you to prepare for even tougher times. That is what's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And I have got Ndini Nyoro, who spoke sometimes back, that's on record, as well as Moses Kuria again. He spoke over the weekend, and that has brought a lot, as elicited a lot of reaction, even from the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. And here we are. So what is it all about? Something that we'll be talking about shortly. New bill to tame rogue and land selling companies. There's an MP who is the senator actually, who is sponsoring that bill. MP's big push for technology-assisted conception. That is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Previous attempt by Suba North MP, Millie Odhiambo, to enact laws to regulate technology-assisted conception failed. The unfatigable legislator is also back with the new 2 drafts, which says that, which he says actually will offer reprieve to couples battling infertility. That's on the front page. Okay, but let's talk about what's here on the front page. Kenya Kwanza, it will only get worse. DG, are we ready for such kind of news that it's just about to get to us. What do you make of the front page of the Daily Standard newspaper?
Well, I think it is the responsibility of the leaders to offer solutions. It's just like a parent in a family. You don't, even if things are worse, you don't go broadcasting, but you look for a way, giving hope, so that the family doesn't disintegrate. You know, it's that sends a very dangerous message to Kenyans who voted, who have faith, hope in the government. And I think here we should be striving to offer solution. I think it is a little bit of careless of some section of leaders in this country that they are predicting doom instead of progress. They are predicting what they are predicting instead of prosperity.
Yes.
They are predicting what they are predicting instead of instilling hope in Kenyans. We know there could be issues here and there, but we need to be hopeful. It is not as okay. And Victor,
I'm told we need to take a quick break.
Yes.
Sorry for that.
Thank you.
Let's take a break. We come back. We are still going to circle back with the Deputy Governor Machakos County so that we can get on the front page of the Standard newspaper and much more coming up after this. Stay with us.
보건복지부 장관이 타겟이었어. 넌 여기서 지원해. 난 본하고 국장님한테 연락할게.
네.
그러니까 지금 학교 강당에서 테러가 일어날지도 모른다는 거예요?
아마도요. 아직 폭탄이 발견된 거 아니니까 100% 확률은 아니에요.
거기 우리 애들 있어요.
뭐라고? 알았어. 일단 내가 갈게.
It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living.
Kupumzika ni mbinguni.
Sawa mama.
Ni nani unaita mama?
Pole mzee.
Ni kama utasikia. Mokaka.
Maja. Ukiniangalia hivi ni unproductive na vile nimesa watoto wengi mpaka huko nje.
Sasa nataka kuniambia baka hii madisi yote wamefinya.
Sio yeye peke yake baka hii wamefinya. Mimi ndio mfinyi tu. Haya basi umemaliza. Kucha sasa univinye.
Oh, nikufinya wewe ni hapa kado.
Nini nakusumbuaka wewe? Mkipatana mwambie akuja nikatakate anikule.
Sasa nasikia kabisa ndaweza achukua tunia nipeleke
Swallow. You are wallowing. Hata nikiusia customers chakula inanukaga use.
Sasa wataka kufanya wewe ndio bora zaidi kushinda huo maneja wangu.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m. KBC Channel 1 magazine programs strive to disseminate news and information.
Welcome to Happening in the World of Entertainment
And achievements of individuals navigating through life.
Be part
of the intelligent conversation. Upper KBC Channel 1.
Related to the interest of Kenyan public on various subjects of national importance.
Basi karibu tujifunze.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news,
challenges, and remarkable stories of individuals with disabilities.
And you have a say. Our magazine programs empower communities with words for conversations and a common language to approach the world.
For your infotainment needs, we have a great range of programs.
Are you seriously saying that, Alba? Your brother-in-law's life is hanging by a thread, and you're worrying how to make sure that the numbers add up? You were unbelievable.
Relax, don't be so tense. Rodolfo, come quickly, Sergio's awake. There goes Mormon.
Tell us who hired you to hurt this man. Who? Speak up!
Amparo Reveles.
I overheard something that I'd like to believe was Sergio's hallucination. He said he is in love with you, Isabel. Now please, tell me that isn't true. I cannot believe this.
Live from Broadcasting House, Nairobi, Kenya. This is KBC English Service.
Welcome to Beat Time Show, the very best of the 80s and 90s. Me, John Karani, JK.
Timeless music hits across the decades.
This is the place to be after you've had a tough day. Here we celebrate love and life.
Just watch.
The sound of KBC English Service.
I'm your host Caroline Wangishi, Carol Gatata Moshero.
My name is Geoffrey Mongai. News, information and entertainment. KBC English Service, Kenya's official national radio.
Kupumzika ni mbinguni.
Sawa mama.
Ni nani unaita mama?
Pole mzee.
Ni kama hujasikia. Mokaka.
Najua. Ukiniangalia hivi ni yani productive na vile nimesema watoto wengi mpaka huko nje.
Sasa nataka kuniambia baka hii matisi yote wamefinya.
Sio yeye peke yake baka hii wamefinya.
Mimi ndio mfinyi tu.
Haya basi umemaliza. Kucha sasa univinye.
Oh, nikufinya wewe ni hapa kado.
Nini nakusumbuaka wewe? Mkipatana mwambie akuja nikatakate anikule.
Sasa nasikia kabisa ndaweza chukua dunia nipeleke
Swallow. You are wallowing. Hata nikiusia customers chakula inanukaga use.
Sasa wataka kufanya wewe ndio bora zaidi kushinda huo maneja wangu.
And welcome back. Now it's 20 minutes past 7 a.m. Good morning. Thank you so much for staying with us. Okay, when we took a break, Salma Ucheng join us. Salma is the Gender and Women Affairs Officer, UDA, and she's also an advocate of the High Court. Salma Ucheng, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
Karibu sana. Okay, I've got Justin Wamai and Francis Mongangu, who is the Deputy Governor of Machakos County. All right. So, DG, when before you took a break, I was on your side. Kenya Kwanza, it will only get worse. That's on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Maybe just finish your statement.
So, basically what I was saying is they should be telling us what are they going to do about it, not to tell us how the situation is.
Yes.
Where Kenyans gave them a mandate, and it is not them. Actually, it is the president and the deputy. They were voted. And the people making these sentiments are their appointees. people in public offices, we need to be, as leaders, we need to be sensitive on what comes out of our mouth. That might be the case. What they are describing might be the case. But what are they doing to ensure that is not the case and that is not where the country is heading?
Yes.
That should be the point in my view.
Okay. Justina.
Now that the Salman Mheshimiwa, one represents Azimio and the other on UDA,
Right.
I always remind Kenyans that I'm not part of them. I represent the ordinary Kenyan. And where an ordinary Kenyan sits...
That is a serious disclaimer.
Yes, because where an ordinary Kenyan sits, we are remembering there's something called polarization, post-truth, and being popular. The other... They were saying the Uhuru Kenyatta does not know what he's doing, the damage he's causing to this country. And then now they're in the seat, now the driver's seat, and even there are people are saying that already Kenya is in the receivership. Already they're the receiving managers, so to speak. What are they doing about it? So from my seat, I think all this they were saying was politics. At no point was Uhuru failing. It was just the conditions that were going on. It was the environment. He had no choice. So I want leaders in this country to change how we think or how we do politics. Don't show that your successor doesn't know anything. Please be honest to Kenyans, because if they were honest, we wouldn't have said that they are failing. We would have accepted them. But now they came off looking like they're the brains behind the presidency. The other one is foolish and a drunkard. So my challenge to leaders now, as ordinary Kenyans, we are saying that we do not want to hear that globally we are 28th, recovering economy. We don't want to hear those statistics. The ordinary Kenyan is saying we cannot relate to the policies of Kenya Kwanza. If you tell us that there is wind energy, how is that translating on my electricity bill? If you tell us that you give fertilizer, how much is the cost of unga when I'm buying it? So I want them to focus this 1 year now, going forward. Let them focus on making Kenyans feel that they can relate to their policies.
All right.
Yes.
Salma, Kenya Kwanza, it will only get worse.
Thank you. And, Kenya Kwanza government is a government that lives on reality. I've heard the DG for Machakos telling us the way we should be sensitive on what comes out from our mouth. You appreciate that, the conversation that has been ongoing on, the high fuel prices that, risen last week. The fuel prices, we as a country do not produce, the crude oil and everything. It is triggered through the international market. So when the DG tells Kenyans that we must be sensitive, we can only be realistic and tell Kenyans, listen, it is not us who are determining the cost of fuel in this country. It is determined by the global market. And all the markets, even within the East African countries, the African countries, they are all on the rise. So Kenya Kwanza lives on reality. And we are keen to addressing these issues as opposed to what Justin Wamai is saying and trying to see it on the periphery. We brought to Kenyans the plan. 1 year down the line, we've been able to show Kenyans what we've been able to achieve, and we are living within the reality. We came in when everything was shambolic. We inherited a skeleton sort of government. But 1 year down the line, you can be able to pinpoint 1, 2, 3 things that we've been able to bring back to track. So, you cannot just throw stones and not highlight on the positives and focus only on the negative, which negatives are not our doing, but affected by other factors.
I'll get into that discussion. That's why I decided not to ask a question. I will ask you questions. Rogue borders, tough new laws on the way. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. Heavy fines and jail time for overloading, riding on pavements and wrong side of the road. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. And still here, Ruto top guns under fire as cost of living soars. We have got CS of Trade, Moses Kuria, David Chirchir of Energy and Petroleum, as well as David Ndii. His tweet elicited a lot of mixed reaction over the weekend. Okay. And finally, on the front page of the Daily Nation, death of trade unions. That is what is here. End of an era? That's a question. So wielding enormous power with their sizable constituency, countrywide structures, and the potential to mobilize members on social or political matters. Trade unions have always been a thorn in the flesh for successive government, but not anymore. The workers' lobbies of 2023 have lost their spark and are now just a pale shadow of their former self. And the person on the front page, you all know him. That is Sec-Gen of Kotu, Papa Francis Atwoli. You can pick a copy of the Daily Nation, the Star newspaper, or the Standard, and get on that. So, getting into the real discussion here, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's talk about the cost of living and politics. So, who is speaking the truth? Kenya Kwanza, it will only get worse. Based on what Salma said, you gave Kenyans a manifesto. Kenyans had hope. President Uhuru Kenyatta was castigated. But yes, you might say that's politics. But DG, are we supposed to be getting into a situation where we are told, brace yourself even for us, because we still have 4 more years to go? We are at 211, a litre of petrol. Last year at a time like this was 134. So by the time we'll be closing 5 years, 500 shillings, or what are we looking at?
A disclaimer. You know, the persons, the 3 persons are very serious professionals in this country. One of them is a politician. Politician is somebody who has represented people at some point. What we are saying, we are not discussing, and I'm sure when we come there, we will also raise issues. We are not discussing about the performance of the government. We are discussing about comments from public officers in public offices serving Kenyans. Now, I think we should be in a position to sit down and come up with policies that are going to aid this country get out of that mess. Nobody here in this panelist is saying what they are describing is not the situation, because Kenyans are suffering across board. Even the rich are now crying. What we are saying is, how do you put that message across? Because when you create an hopelessness, what are you doing? When you create a situation where it is like you don't know where you are coming from, where you are, and where you are taking the country, what are you telling Kenyans and the world? So this is what we are saying when we say, let us be sensitive. Let us be concerned on what we are saying and to who and where. I think Kenya Kwanza has a responsibility to aid the country, to steer the country, to lead the country to prosperity, not to mention or to make utterances that are going to discourage many Kenyans, and by extension adopt policies that are going to be very unfavorable for doing business, because it beats logic. The head of state, the deputy president, the prime cabinet secretary have all been out of this country speaking to world-known multinationals to either expand their operations in this country, to either come and invest in this country, to come and team up with Kenyans to create wealth for this country. Yet, back at home, some people are making, they could be honest, because the situation, considering to what Kenyans are going through, that could be the situation. But the issue of how they put it across, it is like sabotaging national economy of this country. It is like sabotaging what the top 3 leadership of this country are doing, which I think it is unfortunate.
All right.
One thing I would like to remind Salma is that, of course, OPEC controls fuel. But the Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi was here in July. So I was thinking these are the conversation maybe he would have gone to. They would have tried to tell him, you guy in OPEC, think about Kenya, right? But again, what can the government do? They have released the draft revenue, medium-term revenue strategy for 2024-2025 last week, right? If they were really keen about taking care of Kenyans, maybe instead of hiking the 18% that we saw in VAT, they would have looked at the cost of having fuel in Kenya. Of course, the landing cost of diesel, for example, here everything constant, is 133 shillings. But when you look at the taxes involved, there's the excise duty, there's road maintenance, the petroleum development, so much. It comes to 37%. So if they were really genuine about Kenyans, instead of adding the 2% to make it 18%, they would have told us we are lowering the taxes. But one thing we have in this country, Victor, is not the issue of revenue collection. Because you see, cost of living is coming again from the taxes they're imposing.
Yes.
The issue is not revenue collection. The issue is how money is spent in this country. And again, I go to also challenge, there's something you had mentioned about overloading on the Star. Overloading the Atafa fines. It takes me back to the business I do. You know, they say, ukianguka kiti, you go back to what you do. I mean, the business of transport and supply of building materials. And my deputy governor is here. One challenge you're also facing as truckers is that you're paying cess per trip. When you go to the quarry to get kokoto, per trip you're supposed to pay 3,000 shillings. You see, per trip, assess. So even me, I'm wondering, when the governor is saying that they're supposed to come up with solutions, even me, I'm challenging you, governor, look at those essays, because the ordinary Kenyans who are truckers, they are complaining, they're wondering, fuel cost has gone up, and then even the cess I'm paying at the quarry, you cannot add the money to your customer because they do not have there is no circulation of money. So we end up having the issue as truckers. Why do you overload? Because guys say that we see trucks are spoiling the roads. True, Victor. But as a businessman, you look at how you're going to make your money. So maybe guys think, let us overload this truck so that I beat the cost of fuel, the cost of paying cess in Machakos. When I jump to Nairobi, I'm paying a different cess. So when you look at even cost of doing business in this country, it is discouraging people. When you look at SMEs, truckers, anyone in business, they are being auctioned right now. Guys are losing their property because they cannot continue to do business in this economy. So in short, whether you're in national government, whether you're in county government, across the board, try and make life easier for the ordinary Kenyans.
That sounds like a direct call for appeal. Now the deputy governor is here and you've taken advantage of the situation. I like that. DG, before I come back to you, that's right on your face. Like, hey, I'm here and I'm telling you, do something. Salma, is this what's really Kenyans really waiting for? Because when leaders of Kenya Kwanza are pulling from both sides, same government, but their responsibility is to give hope, even where there is no hope. So, where are we as a country?
As a country, we came to Kenyans and gave them a manifesto called the plan. We are implementing this plan through what we call the bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
With this call of everything just about to get worse?
Yes, and our main...
Is that the plan?
And our main focus on Kenyans and what we need to do was to increase the level of production so that then every other person is comfortable at the basic of the chain. I've had the DG castigating about, our top leaders going out of the country to, I don't know do what. You appreciate that in the central region, we have cash crops that we would say were not, in the last regime, were not being taken care of the way it should be. We export coffee, we export tea, and in our plan, we were keen on, identifying market, both regionally and internationally. And when the deputy president left the country, that was the market he was going to look for. You appreciate also that in our plan, we promised the Kenyans that we will invest more on the digital superhighway. The president was out of the country, and the tech space is where most of the youths thrive in. So our focus basically as a government is to increase the level of production at the basic of the chain so that progressively we will be comfortable. And when we mention about taxes, some of the business or service providers used to evade tax, paying for taxes. But when the Kenya Kwanza government came in, said we need to focus on, those taxes so that then we come out from this tendency of borrowing from, the international, monetary fund, so that we don't bring the economy back to its knees.
Okay.
We need to focus on Kenya being, an independent, sustainable economy, instead of focusing on other, entities to sustain our economy. And that is our focus.
What's the secret about Kenya Kwanza? Because when you hear leaders, having their own kind of, Moses Kuria spoke the other day, the deputy president came back from Colombia straight into, giving a statement. The president has not spoken. We had Devin D speaking a few days ago, and here, who do we run to as Kenyans? Let me just ask that as a layman, who do we run to? The plan, the bottom-up economy, and we still have this, Kenya Kwanza, it will only get worse. So at what point will we say, hallelujah?
That is the newspaper saying it will only get worse. Okay. But I have given my position that, we have as conquered. If we can only focus on what, this government has been able to achieve 1 year down the line, instead of really, painting the government into the other negative side, then I think, Kenyans have the right to know the correct position of everything within this government.
Go ahead.
Sometimes it is good to listen keenly. What I've said is the president, the deputy president, and the prime cabinet secretary, when they travel out there, like the prime cabinet secretary was out, the deputy president was out, the head of state is out of the country, we have been following to see who they are meeting, the message they are delivering for the country. Now, when you see what they are doing out there, and you listen to the sentiment of the three top Kenya Kwanza leaders back in the country, it is like the sentiments of these three are supporting what their seniors are doing out there. That is what I said. But let me start by the deputy president nominee of Roots Party in the last election, what she has said. I've heard what she has said about the cess. From one county, you get to the next county, you are asked to pay, yet the infrastructure might not be that of the right standards. I take it up. It's a challenge. But there is one which is beyond one county, beyond any particular leader from any county.
Yeah.
The issue of the taxes by national government, by one individual county and the other. That one needs a collaborative way of sitting and discussing. Because I also, as a business person, would not wish that national government is taxing these. You go to this county, you are taxing these, you move your products and services from this particular county. When you are going to the next one, you are being taxed of the same. I think that is also kind of unreasonable, and I'm sure through the Council of Governors and the national government, that is a discussion that is on the table. It is something that I will say they need, those involved, they need to do something, because we need to serve our countrymen and women fairly and ensure our businesses are not killed through taxation, unfavorable taxation regime. Now, I think basically what I can say about the today's headlines, particularly sentiments by leaders, let us be responsible. Whether you are in Kenya Kwanza, you are in whatever capacity, even the business community, leave alone the politicians or the officials of the government. Let us be insensitive of what we say, where we say it, how we say, and to who. That is very important, because there is something you can say today, and in the next minute the country is in fire. Don't create an hopelessness.
Yes.
I've said in my opening remarks, the two ministers and the economic advisor, those are the top professionals. But it is unfortunate what is coming out. whatever the situation they were when they made those statements, I think it is uncalled for. Yeah. It is they have a responsibility to put it in a manner that is not going to put the government into disrepute. That is not going to put even their professionalism and the positions they hold into question. I think we have a responsibility, and Kenya Kwanza have said before, and I will repeat, as a duty to steer the country to the prosperity, not to hopelessness. Yes.
Okay, let me ask you, and this question I want all of you to answer.
Yes.
When the bipartisan talk was started, Azimio came up with the cost of living as the agenda. Are we trying to say that Azimio is now being, they have a point to put on the table during as part of the agenda to discuss at the bipartisan talk? Yeah, because of cost of living, and Azimio had it. Kenya Kwanza said, no, we are not going to talk about it. 2 days ago, 24 hours ago, Kenya Kwanza shot themselves on the foot. That brace yourself for tough times ahead. Justina.
Azimio had a point, but that was the wrong forum. And I'm happy that Sifuna has come up with a bill that is taken to the Senate regarding the energy. There's something he's saying that the cost of energy the IPPs should not be paid, I think, in dollars, considering the inflation and all that. So that is the forum that Azimio should have used from the word go, even instead of going to those mandamanos, even before this bipartisan talks.
Yes.
And I've always said that for me, from where I sit, bipartisan talks was not something that should have done. We should have agreed that this one's won, this one's lost. Now can you put them in check on the floor of the House?
Yes.
So I think telling us about cost of living, Alai told us that it was something that was marketable at the time. So they were not genuine. But the angle that Sifuna has taken, and any other MP of Azimio, whatever the bill they have taken to the National Assembly, that is the right forum, and that is where we Kenyans come in. We will watch TV because you will broadcast, and we will know that Kenya Kwanza are refusing this bill because it's an Azimio bill, but it's helping Kenyans. So if they use the right forum, which is National Assembly, then, or the Senate, we would be fine. But now, Azimio is taking bonga points for a problem that is already there. They were not genuine, and we know what they're looking for. And I've always said, give them what they want. Because President Ruto cannot say that, that he's not going to have a handshake. He's the one who pushed Raila Amolo Odinga for the 207 handshake. So this is his karma. And I've always said, let him accept it. Let them give Raila what he wants so that we can move on as the ordinary Kenyans.
What does Raila want?
Yeah, already we know what he wants.
Denied that he doesn't want
the deputy president told us that money has already exchanged hands. That one he
can't authenticate that.
But he said it. So what I'm trying to say is that they need to focus on the ordinary Kenyan whose bills, and when I say bills, it's salaries and anything that a Kenyan uses as money. The ordinary Kenyans, the majority of us, whose bills are not paid by government. We only thrive on the peace and stability in this country for our business and for money to circulate. So these bipartisan talks are not genuine. But if they wanted bonga points, I said again, we live in a world of populism and polarization and post-truth. If they were the bonga points they wanted, they got them. Kenyans feel they're somewhat talking about it. But the right forum is the National Assembly and the Senate.
All right. Azimio are now having some bragging rights. Salma?
Before I come to the bipartisan talks, these blame games to do with the national government and the functioning of the county government. The deputy governor for Machakos, as in responding to issues of taxes within the county, you appreciate that under the fourth schedule of the constitution, we have distinctive roles of the national government and the county government. Right. And you also appreciate that county governments have something that we call county integrated development plans, that informs the 5-year development plan of a given county. We also have the finance laws that are passed annually, and it is through these finance laws that we informs the various taxes that are being collected by the various county governments.
Yes.
So when the deputy governor throws the ball to the national government and then tells us the way this conversation should be picked up by the COGs, it is never.
I like the way Justina completely started the conversation.
Yes,
that was a point by Justina.
Yes. But it was responded to by the deputy governor. Yes. And I must say, we have public participations during, approvals of some of these policies at the county level. So, and they vary. County X will decide that we are going to raise revenue from this area. This is the much we want. So throwing the ball at the national government and blaming the national government over every other thing, I think it is misplaced. So let's focus on the separation of powers and function for both the levels of government. When we come to the bipartisan talks, and I believe the Kenya Kwanza interest is always with the Kenyans. We presented our agenda. One of them was, to do with the CDF. The other one was the GAF funds. The other one was the creation of the position of leader of opposition. And then the fourth one, and of interest that have been raised here is the office of leader of opposition. You appreciate when we were campaigning, we were saying that we don't want a situation where the winner takes it all. You understand? And we have always advocated for a functioning government that is well oversighted by the opposition. Before the 2010 constitution, promulgation of the constitution, the previous constitution, we had the leader of opposition sitting in parliament and had all the rights and everything, the powers to oversight government. But after the promulgation of the constitution, we have the leader of opposition sitting out of the fence. But the president has always said, hey, listen, there's a proper way to oversight the government. And one of the reasons that the president advocating for that office of leader of opposition was so that the government is able to be oversighted well. And this will inform the proper functioning of this government. And that is our stand, the interest of Kenya.
The interest of Kenyans. But coming back to our discussion here, politics and cost of living, what do you really need to tell Kenyans 1 year after office? We just celebrated 1 year in office.
What I need to tell Kenyans is that, the cost of living is being experienced, the high cost of living is being experienced globally.
That sounds like a blanket reason.
It is factored by so many other things. So for Kenyans, what I would like to tell you, things will get better.
No, okay. When? This is interesting.
When things will get better with time.
DG?
First, there was something that was said here. And sometimes it is good to have facts when we are coming to a national show. When you talk of borrowing, even developed nations do borrowing. Kenya Kwanza, if we go back to campaigns, because we are now dealing with the politics and the cost of living, they were all over castigating the then government for borrowing from the financial markets across the world. Instead of going to multilateral institutions, financial institutions like World Bank and IMF. But now it is on record. Since independence, Kenya Kwanza has borrowed more than any other administration through the same methods. It is their records. You can Google here, you show Kenyans from Central Bank. Records are there. That is one. Number two, if we are to borrow to develop the country, let's go to IMF, let's go to World Bank, let's go to government. If you go to these financial institutions, others who are out to make money, definitely they are going to milk the country dry. And that is what the government is doing, which I think should not be the case. Coming to Azimio's cost of living as an agenda, it shows, it is clear who between the two coalitions as the people at heart, between the government and Azimio. When we said we needed to discuss about the cost of living, we wanted that which concerns Kenyans.
What is the solution?
Solution is to ensure you don't raise the cost of the cost of fuel. When you raise the cost of energy, you touch literally every aspect of life. And there is something that the Kenya Kwanza came up with as their policy in the initial first days. And this was, we go to clean energy, renewable energy. And that is something that we could have easily contributed to lowering of the cost of living. Number two, if we fixed our internal production of energy, we fixed the problem with Kenya Power, KenGen. Can I tell Kenyans, if you allow me, that if we allowed KenGen to do what they are doing fully without any interference, I will tell you the cost of living will drastically come down. How? Today, KenGen, they are given a rationing of what they should produce and sell to Kenya Power in favor of these independent energy producers. If we stop thinking in money making by some sections of the businessmen, I'm telling you, the country will be transformed. But since there is a committee that is handling that aspect of energy production in this country, I'm sure at the end of the day, we might fix that problem once and for all. Number three, we are being told out there, it is the Kenya doesn't produce fuel, we import, there is dictates by the OPEC, and that is what is contributing to the increase of fuel prices in Kenya. But we can come up with a policy on now to apply up to a certain level, a subsidy to ensure, yes, out there it could be expensive, but when we purchase, we caution Kenyans so that it is reasonable. You don't have to keep on
the last regime.
Yes,
fuel subsidy.
But that was the way it was done. I don't think it was the right way.
Okay.
The subsidy that was done by Jubilee then, I don't think is what I'm advocating here. We can do it reasonably to ensure the cost of living. Like when you go to a petrol station, you don't go paying 200 shillings, over 200 shillings for petroleum products, whether kerosene, whether petrol, whether diesel, you know, and that is what we are saying we need to discuss. And that's why the country, Kenyans, are paying for economic council members for Kenya Kwanza government, so that they can look into these things and ensure that the Kenyans are taken care of. The cost of living doesn't skyrocket. And when you look at this cost of living and you compare with the taxes that are being imposed on Kenyans, I think that is what the three are now telling Kenyans. It is likely to get worse. Finally,
okay,
somebody has talked of functions of counties and national government, and has talked of public participation. I think you need to get to know how the law is, how the counties function, because I don't see, what I said is, it doesn't make sense at all. Machakos, which is in metropolitan here, we are imposing taxes, and we have an example of a transporter here. We are imposing taxes in the name of sales from the other side, yet she could be at the border, bordering Nairobi. You are paying taxes here, and the same, when you cross this other side, you are paying. At the same time, there is also what you are paying to national government. What I said, it is not about the public participation to solve this problem. It is about the counties to sit down with the national government to harmonize this, so that the transporter doesn't pay to three entities different taxes, but you can pay once, which will be favorable to this particular transporter, so that our business, his business, can grow to employ more Kenyans, to create wealth for both counties, national government, and even the people of Kenya. That is what I'm saying.
Okay. Yes, no, Mai, you see what you brought to my show.
It's a good conversation because, you know, DG, when he finds me on the ground, I've not paid cess. We won't be friends.
See what you've done. You're talking about cost of living.
I'm happy that DG has
yes, directly addressing you. Yes. I like that. Okay.
Yes.
So, what do you make of this? I ask a question whether Azimio has been vindicated at this particular point. Because if you talk about cost of living, it starts all the way from Moyale to the small island of Migingo Island, go to Lamu, Kiunga. Everyone talking about it. But where do we draw the line between politics and now the re-implementation to cushion Kenyans?
Victor, in this country, we need to start remembering history, even if it's recent history.
Yes.
The first agenda of Azimio was opening the servers. Lakini haikuwa, it was not eating. How do you say? It was not marketable. So they realized, and Robert Alai has said once every time that it was marketable to sell the cost of living. Unfortunately, as Kenya Kwanza are the ones who opened their door to this.
Somebody would ask, where's the lie?
Of course, there is no lie. And that's why I'm saying Kenya Kwanza are to blame. Because when they were told that you told us by the end of 2022, if you can't afford NHIF, serikali itakulipia. Those were the words of the presidential candidate of Kenya Kwanza. They didn't do it. There were so many things that came, even including Hustler Fund. Right now, they're arguing that the limit for Hustler Fund is 13,000. I will not argue that. But I want them to understand, a Mama Mboga who takes 13,000 today to buy her stock, who is she selling to? Unfortunately, this administration is forgetting that whether you're bottom, you're middle, you're top, they own you, they are your father. So the interventions should be focusing on everyone. So when Mama Mboga buys Mboga worth 13,000, which is very good, but the middle class cannot buy this product. Her mbogas will go to waste, they will rot, and she'll not be able to pay the tax. She'll not be able to repay the Hustler Fund. So in short, because when you look at how even Kenyans respond to, is this administration serving you? You will see a few people saying, hey, I have Hustler Fund for 13,000, blah, blah, blah. But they're forgetting, you cannot operate as the bottom, you cannot operate alone because you need middle class as your customers. Then we need the top guys who are owners of business to employ the middle class so that at least everyone, there's money circulating across the spectrum. Yeah. So I think Kenya Kwanza should first accept that they failed Kenyans by lying idea ilikuwa ya hustler, Mama Mboga na mtu wa boda boda. And that's why Kenyans were saying, when a CS was appointed, they were saying, wapi Mama Mboga, wapi mtu wa boda boda. That is what Kenyans were asking because they took it literally. On the issue of, let me talk about the trip by the DP. Yes, he went to Colombia, but what sold more was tigers more than coffee. Remember, he said there are tigers in Kenya. So it sold more. What was the purpose of him going there if he did not achieve the focus or what was taking him there? On the issue of borrowing, let me add that they have borrowed 1.5 trillion in 1 year. Uhuru borrowed 6.7 in 10 years. And then last week's newspaper, they said there's a risk of national exams not going on because of the government. They owe schools 29 billion. So Kenyans are wondering, if exams can't go on, where is the money going to? That's a question maybe you'll tell us. And then also on issues of subsidies, we can't get subsidies. Davis Chirchir told us they have covenants with IMF. So I started thinking, probably these are the same covenants IMF brought when people are saying, let us legalize industrial hemp. Because in their home countries, they are using industrial hemp. But in Africa, they are saying it's illegal. So let's start thinking about ukoloni mamboleo. Maybe we are being given money in conditions that are going to make our country move back. Finally, on the Petroleum Development Levy, they collect 5 shillings and 40 cents per litre. That is close to 25 billion. Right now, the large oil marketers are saying we cannot sell to these small petrol stations because they have not been given the money for last month. Remember, there was this price stabilization last month. So they are like, if you're not giving us our money, what you're going to buy will be just for us, not for the small distributors or the small petrol stations. When you go around, now a very big oil marketer has bought many of them because they can't afford or they do not have stock for fuel. And we're being told in the coming weeks there'll be a fuel shortage. So in short, can this government do the right thing? They collected 5 shillings and 40 cents last month from all Kenyans. And remember, since they got into power, they have been collecting 5 shillings and 40 cents per litre. Let them pay the oil marketers so that we move away from the looming fuel shortage.
Let's take a break. Salma, when you come back, you have got so many questions to answer. On behalf of Kenya Kwanza, this is tough on you.
Definitely. Nothing is tough.
Let's take a break. We'll come back shortly with more discussion. Stay with us.
Yeah.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Are you seriously saying that, Alba? Your brother-in-law's life is hanging by a thread, and you're worrying how to make sure that the numbers add up? You were unbelievable.
Relax, don't be so tense. Rodolfo, come quickly, Sergio's awake. There goes more money.
Tell us who hired you to hurt this man. Who? Speak up!
Amparo Reveles. I overheard something that I'd like to believe was Sergio's hallucination. He said he is in love with you, Isabel. Now please, tell me that isn't true. I cannot believe this.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wamekama up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free. What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea Studio Mashinani huko Comarox, Langata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga, Kitui next to Manyanyoni Chiefs Camp na Kisumu City wako hapo KBC station. Usilalie talent. This is your chance to commercialize and popularize your talent through Studio Mashinani.
The discussion here is all about cost of living and politics. Let's talk about much more. Okay, so without politics, I don't think anything can move. Somebody said that politics started all the way even in heaven, and the devil and tried to grab a seat that did not belong to him. Anyway, on a lighter note. So Salma, you had so many questions. Where do you draw the line between politics and cost of living? And when you say that the Kenyans should give Kenya Kwanza more time, how much more time do you need?
I have said, and this is a message to all Kenyans, the high cost of living is not only experienced in Kenya, and it is not a making of, the leadership of Kenya Kwanza. Where we draw the line between politics and reality, you appreciate that when Azimio started, telling us the way they are advocating for Kenyans and all that, the very first time when they came out saying that they are going to the streets, they had 14 points agenda. And every other time they went to the street, this agenda kept on changing from something else to something else to a different thing. There was the IBC constitution, then they saw that was not selling, they moved to the cost of living. That was not selling again, they moved to something else. So we are saying that the only government or the only leadership that has the interest of Kenyans at heart is Kenya Kwanza. Look at when we were passing the Finance Act in Parliament. All the Azimio MPs went out of the house. For an ordinary Kenya, a layman Kenya would think that, you know, that was the right thing to do.
All right.
But you see, the Azimio, the role of an MP is to sit in parliament, make laws, you know, represent the interest of the people they represent in parliament. So by you walking out in parliament does not necessarily tell you that this side of government have the interest of, you know, Kenyans at heart. We have to be realistic. And I stated here, and I first said, the cost of living is with the interest. It is only Kenya Kwanza that is advocacy, and appreciate that. Listen, you know, we came into this this space. This is what we found, and we are trying to, you know, put up mitigation measures.
With a call to Kenyans to embrace the self for more.
Yes, but things will get better. As they embrace, it will get better.
It will get better.
It will get better. So, but the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, all this, everything that has been happening, you know, we are back onto the table with the bipartisan talks.
Okay.
But you ask yourself, that agenda that was, you know, advocated by, you know, the leadership of Azimio, where did it disappear within this conversation?
At this particular point, it's not Azimio, it's not about Kenya Kwanza, it's about the common mwananchi, the cost of living. Yes. Everybody, all of us are suffering the brunt of that. Fuel is 211. I don't think this where you feel that 100 shillings, DG, or even all of you. It's 211 across board. Without party headlines, at what point will Kenyans start saying, now there's some reprieve, without even going back to the last administration?
I've talked about, you know, the Kenya Kwanza scorecard. We are focusing on, and you appreciate the Kenya Kwanza government as, you know, supplied fertilizer, subsidized fertilizer across the country, you know, to our farmers and everything. The Kenya Kwanza has also supplied, you know, subsidized seeds. You saw the other day in Busia, the president sent there, you know, the cotton seeds, you know, for the farmers there. So we are embracing and we are alive to the fact that when we empower Kenyans and increase the production level in this country, just last week but one, we were hosting the African Climate Summit. You know, if you look at what impact that will create, you know, we are trying to tell Kenyans, listen, we have green energy that needs to be tapped on. You know, we are in the process of planting 15 billion trees, and you appreciate what impact this will have, you know, when eventually. So we are focused on production. Right now, as things may seem to be tough, we are telling Kenyans, yes, we appreciate, and it is across. It is not only in Kenya, it is not only our making, and it will be good. We have their interest at heart. That interest is what we are trying to address.
Before I come to you, DG, is there a crack in Kenya Kwanza? Salma?
We cannot have a crack. This government is working, it is functioning.
So when Moses Kuria speak, when Ndindi Nyoro speak, the president is aware of the sentiment, right?
My point is, there's no crack in Kenya Kwanza government.
So when Ndindi Nyoro speaks and when Moses Kuria speaks, the government is aware of their sentiments?
When Ndindi Nyoro speaks, that I saw that clip that, you know, and I believe it is Azimio that, you know, brought that clip peddling all around. Those sentiments were made in the last regime, and it can be played.
We cannot edit what Moses Kuria spoke. Yes. It was broadcast in all media houses.
What Ndindi Nyoro said, I saw that video clip doing rounds, and that clip was, those sentiments were made during Uhuru's regime.
Salma?
Yes.
Victor.
Okay, so yes, DG.
We have a Kenya Kwanza government that when the head of state is out of the country, when the deputy president is out of the country, the third in command is the Speaker of National Assembly. I've avoided speaking about Prime Cabinet Secretary because that is the position that is not anchored in our constitution. It could be third in command, but in law, currently as it is the Speaker of the National Assembly. Right. Now, when you hear a minister declare himself as the acting president, a minister appointed, an appointee of the president, declare to be taking charge when the president is out of the country? Which kind of democracy is this? Which kind of leadership is this? We need discipline in Kenya Kwanza. We need discipline in Kenya Kwanza. And that's why they are going to an extent, if they can declare themselves president in the absence of the head of state and the deputy, now what else can they do? What they did, I think they know what they are doing.
Yes.
And I said there would be sabotage of the leadership of this country by some junior officers.
Very well.
Now,
and on that before you continue,
there is something here.
Before you continue,
yes.
DJ, there is that statement by the deputy president addressing the likes of Moses Kuria and Dini Nyoros of this world. Press play, director.
While he was away, he remained abreast with issues in the country. In his statement, the DP took a swipe at a section of cabinet secretaries and government advisors over their utterances following the spike in fuel prices. The DP says, and I quote, "I want to call upon fellow leaders, particularly those that our President William Ruto has given privilege to serve Kenyans, to exercise caution in addressing their employer, the people of Kenya. It is insensitive to talk down to people. You do not address your employer with arrogance. Do so with humility and decorum. Please do not spite the people of Kenya," he added. End of quote. The DP further cautioned leaders against demoralizing Kenyans, urging them to instead inspire hope, be humble, and serve with humility.
That was a tweet which was sent out by the deputy president. Was that done during the last regime, during campaigns? Addressing members of Kenya Kwanza. Before I come back to you, DG.
It was categorical that I say the sentiments that were made by Ndindi Nyoro on what the deputy president said. The protocol demands that, the issue that was raised by CS Moses Kuria was already addressed by the deputy president of this country, and from where I sit, I take what the deputy president said, and we leave that matter at that.
Okay. I'll read for you what Ndindi Nyoro said.
Okay.
Shortly. I'll come back to you. All
yes.
Right,
so my second point was have had Azimio leaders walked out of the fort during the finance bill that was to caution Kenyan. And then the Kenya Kwanza representative in this show says she goes ahead to stipulate the role of an MP. I want to tell her it is the same Kenya Kwanza through one Osoro who said they had some incentives which insinuating it's like they bought some members so that they don't vote for this finance bill. She's forgetting. Still the same Kenya Kwanza. So in this case, while I agree with her on the role of a member of parliament, I totally also disagree with her on the issue of walking away. Because the Kenya Kwanza told us what they did to these members of parliament, even those within Kenya Kwanza who did not support the bill. They know what they did, and it is criminal. Let's not have a criminal element within the government, because it is wrong. If it is true, Osoro and others did what he claimed to have done, that is wrong. He violated chapter 6 of our constitution to the last point. It is wrong. You don't have to bribe anybody so that he votes or he doesn't vote.
Those are baseless.
So in this case, it is very important. We are there to the principles of leadership and dictates of our constitution. When we are in a public office, we are not there to serve certain interests. We are there to do everything possible to serve and improve the welfare of this country. Now, when you go out, instead of allowing a robust debate on some of these things, but you do some incentives, what are you doing? Are you serving the interest of the country, or you are serving the interest of a particular section of leadership of our country. What are you doing? So I think we need to focus on more of that which adds value and transforms this country, as opposed to our own personal or private interests. That is my point.
Thank you.
Now, on the issue of Ndindi Nyoro and Moses Kuria, when we were young, when our parents were home, there were things we couldn't do. But when your parents go, you feel there's freedom.
What do you mean?
I think the president is a one-man show president. Yes. He does not allow his people to think for themselves, to do what they want to do, to be creative and innovative. That is where when he steps out, they say, panya akitoka, paka akitoka, panya anatawala. So I think that is why there is this temptation to try and pretend that I am the president now. How I wish they felt that we are having the control and influence as CSs. It goes also to explain that many of his cabinet secretaries are campaigning for 2027. And during Uhuru's tenure, I think he got technocrats who didn't have political vision. And I think when they left cabinet, most of them went to international organizations. Those were their visions. So I think it goes back to how the president awarded these positions. I mean, if you get a politician, it was based on loyalty, not meritocracy. Yeah. But he forgot that loyalty does not have a brain. You will do what Kenyans, you will want to be there to be seen that you said something. Now you see we are discussing Moses Kuria now because he's a politician. We never even had a chance to discuss Uhuru's cabinet secretaries because they were on the ground, they were technocrats. So I think it goes back to one, maybe he's not giving them the space to be different or to think, and also they are aligning themselves for 2027. On the issue of Salma telling us that there's nothing government can do, then what is the purpose of them being in government? I mean, they influence policy, they come up with frameworks. At this point, Kenyans are saying, fine, OPEC and everything and the dollar is up, we understand. But how do you cushion, how do you hedge the ordinary Kenyan? They have a policy, and I spoke about those taxes. They can do something about it. So that is one thing they should do. Wacha kutuambia they can't do anything. If they say they can't do anything, Azimio says we're ordinary Kenyan, what are we going to do? They have something they can do by lowering the taxes and spending money well. Finally, both of them are saying that some MPs were bribed, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter whether you bribed or you took the money. This is a challenge to ordinary Kenyans. You must vote integrity in parliament. Right now we have realized National Assembly has a lot of control in influencing the policies and legislations that affect us. This education bill and how university students and the funding is something that will be discussed in the National Assembly. The finance bill was discussed in the National Assembly. If your MP is not considerate on what is happening to you on the ground, if he doesn't have the integrity, how do we expect them to help us? And so, one, integrity of parliament is very paramount. Finally, on the talks in Bomas, the issue of a boundary deal, that one, boundaries, whatever. There was a proposal on having 55 more counties, from 47 to 55, I think. What I want to tell the government and Azimio, their role is not to provide jobs or to create jobs. Their role is to create a conducive environment for private sector to thrive. Victor, the population in this country is 53 million. Right now, only 3.1 million Kenyans are in formal structure of employment. That is why people of the pay slip are complaining. They're being overtaxed. So I think the policies we should be hearing from Azimio, maybe on the floor of the House, is how we are going to eliminate the kickbacks that push away investors from this country, is how the government should stop borrowing domestically so that an ordinary citizen can come and have their own investment, can go into the bank, ask for this amount of money, and they get the money. So the policies we are talking about right now is how we can make private sector thrive. And I'm not talking about a mzungu from anywhere. No, I'm saying if 2021 Mutumba, the imported Mutumba was 24 billion. And the taxes, the importation tax was 15 billion that government made. How I wish that 24 billion would go into textile industries. We'd have our own Kenyan-made clothes, our own Kenyan-made textiles. The fashion industry, the models, the blah, blah, blah would be back. And that would spur economic activity, more employment. So the challenge right now is everyone across the divide, right? Azimio's role is to discredit government. But I wish they were coming up with alternatives that are making the ordinary Kenyan feel fine. You're castigating Kenya Kwanza, but this is an alternative, and it makes sense.
DJ is here. He's going to respond to that. Salma, let me just read for you what Ndindi Nyoro said. Number one, quote: "It is now so despicable, insensitive, inconsiderate of the government that we elected, that their preoccupation every day is to add the cost of living to the people of Kenya." End of quote. That is Ndindi Nyoro.
My position.
Number two, Deputy President, just hold on. Responsible leaders should be sensitive and inspire hope in the people. Talking down on the people and demonizing them Those who look up to them for solutions is not good leadership. Lastly, Moses Kura said, it is true that we are facing the challenge of soaring cost of living. There is nothing to hide. We as leaders are telling you the truth that the cost of fuel has skyrocketed all over the world. So, is there a crack or not? We've not seen any Azimio legislator here.
Before I respond to your question, maybe a point of clarification for Ms. Justina here. She has said that I have indicated or stated here that there's nothing the government can do. And that is not what I said. I was clear. I said that, the government appreciates that, we are living, currently the cost of living is high. But we are, we are asking Kenyans, kindly hold on, things will be better. What I said was, there are mitigating measures that we have put in place to ensure that these concerns or these issues are addressed. And my focus was increase in the level of production across. And that is my sentiments. And that's why I spoke on, agriculture. We spoke on, the digital superhighway so that our youths, can get, opportunities in, the tech space. To the DG, it is absurd. You come to the national television, you tell us that Kenya Kwanza leaders gave incentives to their Azimio, legislators, and they walked out of parliament.
I also remember,
it is just absurd. It is just absurd that their legislators do not have, independence of mind, and they can be bought just like that, and they decide to walk out.
What did Mheshimiwa Osoro say?
It doesn't even make sense.
What did Mheshimiwa Osoro? Just hold on. What did he say?
He said he was celebrating after the 14th.
And we cannot justify that here.
And, no, it is in public domain.
Yes, we cannot and Victor, you cannot allow that conversation to go on, because we are here to speak facts. We are here to inform Kenyans and inform Kenyans with the truth. You cannot tell me that Kenya Kwanza Osoro gave out something to Azimio, and then that is what led to Azimio walking out of parliament and not doing what they are supposed to do in the house as legislators.
Right.
Honestly,
maybe he explained to us.
They are very incompetent.
All right.
To say the least.
What happened?
Before you go there,
yes,
I think Kenya Kwanza needs a lot of training on leadership, because you see, even the representative here doesn't understand. There is something called foreign policy of a country. And when you come down, you look at the leader as he or she speaks. Other than, and by the way, let me go back. During President Moi's days, President Moi could read a very good written speech. But what we used to pick is what President says after he has put aside the speech. Today, any president anywhere in the world, you could articulate the foreign policy of a country. But what you say after you have kept aside that speech is normally what we get as the policy of your government and as you are the real foreign policy of your country. When it comes to leadership, no matter which level, what you read to us is not what we take, but we take what you say after you have kept aside your speech. That is what the Kenya Kwanza representative in this panel doesn't understand. So what we are saying is Osoro, and it was in public, and it is a clip you can put here. He said, in parliament, you saw, we will continue sorting them out the way we sorted them during the voting. And it had an impact, because over 80 members of Azimio coalition did not vote during the finance debate. There were others from who maybe associate with them with the Kenya Kwanza, who did not also, but I'm talking specifically on Azimio, because we have over 80 members of parliament who did not vote. It is a fact. And that is what Osoro told the country. It is out there. It is not something that we are just insinuating here. There is something that was talked here about fertilizer being brought down from 7,000. I'm going to treat that as your closing remarks, because we're running out of time already. This is very important. This is very important. You know, you cannot lower the cost of fertilizer, and on the other side, the farmer uses a lot of fuel to transport, to pump water, to do this. Then you increase the cost of fuel. It doesn't beat, it beats logic at all. You cannot at once say you are lowering fertilizer. On the other side, the cost of energy goes up. It is like you are balancing the same, which totals to zero.
Justin.
You see, it was important for me to declare that I'm neither in Azimio or Kenya Kwanza. Needless to say,
you stood with that one until the end.
That one baka sahi.
Yes.
Needless to say, the deputy president has no moral authority to lecture anybody. Remember, he spoke about the shareholder thing. So these children of his or his followers are following what he has done. And Kenyans have been treated to the drama. You can be a campaign giant, but a delivery dwarf. Finally.
You can be a campaign giant?
But a delivery dwarf. Yeah?
Okay.
Now we took a party a delivery campaign.
So we'll have to talk about that after the show.
Finally, Victor. In 1965, when we had the sessional paper 10, they said that our ideology was Africa socialism. You know, it was supposed to plan to aid our planning in this country. 1965, we were only 9 million, the population. Now, fast forward to 2023, the population is 55 million as of 2023. What am I saying? I think the problem with this country is the ideology we are using. We cannot be saying that the 3.1 million Kenyans will be taxed to fund the 50 million or the 52 million who don't have jobs. So in short, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza need to relook the ideologies on how we are going to take this country forward. Right. It is not the role of government to create jobs. It is not the role of government to educate. It is not the role of government to give us welfare. Are we running a welfare state or a state where people have personal income? That is the challenge to both of them.
Thank you so much. Salma.
We will not be distracted by the many noise coming from all quarters. We had a plan, we have a manifesto, we have the bottom economic transformation agenda that needs to be implemented. And if you look at the one-year scorecard, you will appreciate where we are coming from, what we have done, and what we are going to do in the next phase, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year down the line. So we are focused as a government. The noise can be there. We allow, oversight from all quarters, but we will not be distracted by any unnecessary noise. We are focused, and our interest, our priority is Kenyans as number one. Thank you.
When will I buy a liter of petrol at 110?
As I said, these prices are factored globally.
So I should be ready.
And as Kenyans, yes, we are trying to, reach out to our international partners, and that's why we have, the many ties that we have. Okay. So let's be patient. Itakuwa salama.
So now, I think yes, you see, just one point. I think Kenyans should not also be so serious. Yes. In the last elections, while we were discussing Kenya Kwanza versus Azimio, we were discussing policies that are going to transform this country.
Now, what has happened?
Justina and the boss, the former boss, were busy marketing how they will allow Banki to be sold in the country. So I think
we are
probably we are rich country by now.
Kenyans mutato happy pesa. You are saying from the sale.
Pesa itatoka kwa Banki.
We are rich country by now. We'll be so high on good things.
High on selling monkeys.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. Salmo Chieng, who is a gender and women affairs officer at the UDA. That is, she's also an advocate of the High Court. Thank you so much for coming to the show. Justin Wamai, we love to talk about some sorts of business. I mean, progressive politician, and she's also former running mate at the Roots Party. DG, representing the great people of Machakos. Asante sana for coming to the show. As a viewer, you know how we do it. Thank you so much for watching. Let's take a break. GMK continues after this. My name is Victor Lo. Have a good morning. Okay, let's do something outside there. Higher and higher. Okay. Thank you.
It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living.
Kupumzika ni mbinguni.
Sawa mama.
Ni nani unaita mama?
Pole mzee.
Ni kama hujasikia. Mokaka.
Maja. Ukiniangalia hivi ni unproductive na vile nimesema watoto wengi mpaka huko nje.
Sasa nataka kuniambia baka hii madisi yote wamefinya.
Sio yeye peke yake baka hii wamefinya.
Mimi ndio mfinyi tu.
Haya basi umemaliza. Kucha sasa univinye.
Nikufinye wewe ni hapa kado.
Nini nakusumbwaka wewe?
Mkipatana mwambie akuja nikatakate anikule.
Sasa nasikia kabisa ndaweza chukua dunia nipeleke
Swallow. You are wallowing. Hata nikiusia customers chakula inanukaga use.
Sasa wataka kufanya wewe ndio bora zaidi kushinda huo maneja wangu.
These are the moments we live for every Friday as we catch up with the world of football.
Manchester City go in front.
With your favorite stars in rivalries like no other that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Learn a few tricks that keep you ahead of the game and spice it all with unforgettable moments on Dunda Dunda. On Saturday, you're in for another treat as we rock your weekend with all sporting disciplines, bringing you insights on what's happening behind the scenes as we share players and athlete stories, preparations, and celebrate their achievements.
Charging to the line. Is it going to be a world record? Yes, it is. She smashed it.
Whatever angle you look at, we've got you covered. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
But Lord knows that I don't want to be lonely tonight. They don't know, and I said they don't know. She's not here for a night of day. She loves it when the music plays. All the bridges are burned. There's still not shown no love. It's like you're not learn. You have to be a brother's keeper.
보건복지부 장관이 타겟이었어. 넌 여기서 지원해. 난 호남 국장님한테 연락할게.
네.
그러니까 지금 학교 강당에서 테러가 일어날지도 모른다는 거예요?
아마도요. 아직 폭탄이 발견된 거 아니니까 100% 확률은 아니에요.
거기 우리 애들 있어요.
뭐라고? 알았어. 일단 내가 갈게.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Thank you for staying with us right here on Good Morning Kenya. Now, from Eye on Politics, we get into transformative leaders. And joining me on this particular segment is Simon Awene, who is the founder, Slum Story Youth Network Organization. Now, Simon is working with different communities just to ensure that he is making change. And for that reason, he is our transformative leader for the day. Simon, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The cold outside?
The cold outside is okay. It's well balanced.
It's
not
just
too
okay.
Bad, like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If we can just get straight into you telling me what got you into this space where you want to see a change in the environment that you're in.
I think it's my story. Yeah, that's what got me into the space.
Mm-hmm. Do you mind getting into your story a little bit?
Maybe a little bit.
Uh-huh.
I think back in 2005,
Yeah.
I cleared my KCP, and then I scored a good mark.
Mm-hmm.
That's around 380.
Mm-hmm.
But I found, depending on the family I was raised in, I was unable to join secondary school.
Yeah.
So I was coming to Nairobi to go and do a course in driving so that I can become a matatu driver. And I liked that. I wanted to become a matatu driver.
Mm-hmm.
But along the way, I met a woman, and I have to say her name.
Please do.
Madam Irene Tongoi of New Dawn, Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
She started a community school through a CBO called New Dawn, Kenya, in the slums of Huruma.
Mm-hmm.
And then I joined secondary school. I started my secondary education there,
Mm-hmm.
in an iron sheet church. And that when we were sitting on a bench, and that was my Form 1. And with my marks, actually, you can now think
Yeah.
of the guys who got 380s were in good schools, Shianda, Sawagongo, and Nyanza, very good schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's what motivated me to be here.
Yeah, so from that time,
Yeah.
from that young age,
Yeah.
did you already know that when I grow up, when I manage to finish my education, I'm going to make sure that I try and make a change in someone's life?
Not really, but the school, the village, the slum is just next to Runda. But what was amazing is people who are in Runda, then we have so many barriers in Runda, could not cross over the barriers to the village to come and see what is happening in the slums of Mji wa Huruma. But people from US, in Michigan, in Mississippi, would come all over to Africa and pray for us there. Then I said, I think if we can have people, maybe we can create awareness about what is happening in various communities, it will be more better than praying for missionaries to come from all over US to come and support a very small. Can you imagine a school fee? A school fee of a secondary school fee is around 53,000. And this is a village next to Runda. And we are praying for someone to come from Nashville, Tennessee in US, pray for us and pay a school fee for us. To me, that is what challenged me, that one day when I've cleared my education and get an opportunity, I will continue to serve my community at that smaller capacity that I am able to do.
Yeah.
So that I know, I always do not wait for somebody somewhere that I do not know to come and do a small thing that I can do at my own capacity.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's something about how
how our locations are positioned, and I don't know how it came about, but that's a story for another day.
Yes.
Where you know where there's a slum, there's always like a posh estate just around. I don't know how that came to be, but anyway, that's not what we are here to talk about today. So if you can just tell me about this organization that you run, this organization that you are the founder. It's called Slum Story Youth Network.
Yes.
What is it all about?
It's all about youth empowerment through music and art, because from my Form 4, I first ought to have done to go and do DJ course at Homeboys Radio. And the love of music production and everything have always been there. So I said, you know, every time you walk in these slums, ama kwa kila mtaa, you find the youth that are idling in those bases are talented either in music, football, or any other talent. So it is always easier to approach someone using through their talent. When you approach someone through their talent, it is easier to cause a change that you need in them. Yes. And that's how even myself, I was caught from the village through the talent into the secondary school.
Yeah.
And now that is what I continue to do. So Slum Story Youth Network Organization basically is just an organization that empowers youth through music, art, and sports.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do you identify them? How do you identify those who are talented?
Currently, we have a music recording studio, and we also have various partners through the hybrid beats. That's Vides, my producer. We always sometimes go on WhatsApp groups or Facebook and say, so long as you are talented, reach us out. And then we will have a number of youths coming from various communities around, and then we will go for the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not just about people in one particular community, say Huruma, just Huruma.
No.
It's open to everyone across the country?
Yes, in Nairobi.
Or in Nairobi.
And across the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
long as you are sure you are needy and you are not able to pay that. Yes. It is free. This is non-profit. Yes.
So for those who would love to come join you, you can share where they can find you as we go on with the interview.
Yeah, we will share. I think the studio is in Umoja, and basically the offices are in Westlands. So that's how we are located.
Yeah.
Yes, so we'll share our contact, but you can as well reach us on Facebook.
Yeah.
Just DM. The name is there, Simon Awene. And the Slum Story Youth Network Organization is there on Facebook, on any other social media platform.
Okay.
Yes.
It's good that you're tapping into their talents. That is the youth of the talent of the youth that we have in this country, because I feel like we have so many talented people in this country, so many of them, especially if we're talking about just music alone. We have so many talented people, and you know, it's a pity that maybe in this country people don't really get to earn from their talent as much as we see, you know, their counterparts outside the country, you know, mainly in the Western world. You know, people really live off of their talent. Some of the people who are who earn the most money is from their talent, you know, basketballers, footballers, musicians. And it's a good thing that you're tapping into that. And according to you, do you feel like talent can really get someone out of poverty?
Yes, yes.
Is it possible in this country?
Yeah, but it must be a controlled talent.
Yeah.
You don't just come and, for us, we don't go for, you just come and rap any other thing you like. We have thematic areas. For example, we serve the community. So if our area, for example, we are focusing on retention of maybe a girl child in school, or we are focusing on a pupil life, depending on the area that we are going to work on, we will now be giving thematic areas where you can come and do your music around. So that you don't just do music for fame, for popularity, but you also do music that is going to create change, a message that is going to augur well with a specific thing that we are doing in the community. We don't just want people to come and rap all along any other thing, and then you say you are a good artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that, but for us, we are not so much into that.
Yeah, you have themes.
Yes.
For the specific thing that you want to be put out there.
Yes.
Now, you also have another project that you are undertaking or taking up right now with a different group. If you could just shed some light on what this other project is all about.
Yeah, actually, the project we are doing, there's a time we went to Siaya to do the documentary of the former governor, Rasanga. Then we asked the governor, give us your story. And he took us to schools all over Siaya. And there are some of the stories that we were now coming up with, we were meeting, that we asked ourselves through through the Rescue Media. We were doing this in partnership with Rescue Media. Rescue Media is headed by Patrick Ngaire. And when we asked Pato, do you think we are just going to shoot these challenges of these kids, show them on a TV or on a YouTube and leave them like that? Then so what? Then we said, I think we rather go back. Instead of just recording these videos, we also try and do something. And that is what has provoked us to do the current event that we are doing in Siaya. We said, we were born in September. A number of 4 or 5 people of us who are serving the organizations. We said, why don't we go and celebrate our birthdays there? But we do it differently. We bring our organization, we try and focus on, there is a certain school, maybe probably I will not mention, that when we were talking to the teacher, we found out that 30 girls were missing in class in Siaya. And when we asked why, we were told probably some challenges. And some of the challenges we were given is the heat that they are feeling on the effect of GPV in rural areas is greater than what people are feeling in Nairobi. Because in Nairobi, you divorce your husband, you pick your kids, you drop them Mushago, unaoga, unarudi soko, then unasahau what is happening with those kids. Those kids are going to school barefooted and they are walking a long distance. Na ile joto iko Siaya, the sun is differently from what we are experiencing in Nairobi. Nobody is caring mtu anaenda shule aje. And that's the challenge that we are having. Huyu mtoto anaenda shule aje. The school fees. And then I was tempted to ask a certain boy, mbona nguo yako ni chafu hivi? And he said, Babu refused that we could not use his soap because mom doesn't send money from Nairobi.
Wow.
So soap inaweza distract mtoto kwenda shule na kusoma. A very small thing. So what are we doing? We say instead of just donating soap, we go and train them on how to make liquid soap. But are we also going to train them on how to make... So there are days we are focusing on permanent solution and also temporal solution. Temporal solution, kuna mtu ajai tumia toothpaste tuko ushago. Ajai, hata mimi nilikuja kutumia nikiwa Nairobi. It is true. And you ask yourself, if a girl in Nairobi anaweza kosa kuwa na challenge ya maybe haizi kuwa na enough panties to change, how about a lady in rural areas? So we said, even if we donate sanitary pads, are we sure huyu mtoto akona panty yenye anaweza tumia kuchange this one? So we said we are going to focus on the whole hygiene to encourage retention in school so that easy absentees at least zipungue for a better result. Yes.
And it is such a pity to know that there are still areas, around the country in this time where there are girls who miss school. You were telling me earlier there are girls who miss school every month because they're on their periods because, well, they don't have sanitary towels. So they'd rather stay at home instead of them coming to school and, go through the shame of, them messing up their uniform and all that. But just, okay, you're trying to make a change, but how can we just change this for the better and for good? Because you are doing your part where you can, but then what about these other schools that, no one is going there to try and help them with one thing or another? What is to be done? What should be done to just try change this completely? Because it's such a pity.
There was a time I was making a joke that I think it is high time we also start electing men as women reps. If perhaps they can think better in terms of these issues. Because
that is really a statement that is not light.
Because the reason why am I saying this? The role of a woman rep should focus mostly more on these challenges that we are talking about in the community. Is an affirmative position. You can, right? But now look at what is happening. You go to those schools and you ask them, do you know your leaders? They will tell you, yes, I know the MP, I know probably the MCA, and the name of the governor they can say. And that marks the end of the leaders they know. So I think what we need to do, before we blame the elected leaders, we, people who are serving the community, we also ought to have done something at our own capacity so that we don't just sit there and wait for somebody somewhere we don't know to come and do small things for us. Let us create an awareness of what is happening in our various communities. We never know who is watching. We never know who is listening. Yeah, I think more awareness needs to ought to have been done.
Yeah.
Created, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how do we take up that mantle of, probably how do we take up that mantle whereby we say that, okay, if my leader is not doing anything about this, I should come in. What responsibility do we all have as humans,
For example, we are going for these school tours. When we reach those schools, we always encourage the school heads also to invite the parents, so that we also engage the parents on solution that we are trying to offer. From there, we encourage these parents, because registering a self-help group actually is less than 2,000 shillings in Kenya. So we rather help them register a self-help group that can bring them together so that they focus on various challenges that they are facing as a community. Through that, they can now partner with various organizations, various government departments to ensure that that solution is always, that problem is always solved at that grassroots level. Because you cannot go around 47 counties and be sure that you are going to meet each and every person that probably needs your attention. Yes, but we can as well empower those leaders, give them trainings that they deserve, create so that they can continue creating that awareness, continue with that conversation at the grassroots level. That's what we are doing. So when we go to those primary schools, those secondary schools, we also invite their parents. Yes, that's what we do.
Yeah. And you mentioned, I think I went past that, or when you mentioned that this whole thing started, of this project that you're doing right now, it started when you were covering a story, on the former governor, on one former governor, and you went to the school where he schooled while he was in primary school, and then you noticed all these challenges. I don't know if it is right for me to ask this question, but do you mean that this governor does not really know some of these challenges that, this is a former school? I mean, aren't they going back to try do something or change?
I've heard, before I joined the interview, I've heard somebody talking about we are going to plant billions of trees, but they're not saying where they're going to plant them. Now, I can tell you, go and plant these trees in these primary schools. That is where the kids who are coming from various households with various problems, you are going to meet them. As they are going to water these seedlings, they'll be telling you their stories. And from there, you can come up with good solutions so that from the tree planting session, you are also able to learn the community you are going to serve. But you see what is happening? People are just living on mere PR. The question you've asked me is actually a good question. But look at it this way. The 47 governors of this country are also acting as small 47 presidents of this country. They also have their advisors. They also have their political alienation. So if you're not aligned to that certain leader, and the people who are advising them are staying in the office reading newspapers and probably watching a number of things and trying to copy-paste what is happening in the US, in England, and trying to impose those things in the communities. But nobody is advising these governors that is moving around the communities, trying to look into the various challenges that people are facing. For example, we were in a certain school and around the Lake Kanyaboli. By 6, children were fetching water in the lake.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. We were still there. By around 10, children were back. By around noon, children were back. So, paka tunajiuliza at the end of the day, hawa watoto wanasoma saa ngapi? If there was a leader that was also moving around, could have noticed that. That this problem of water is actually affecting the education system. It is actually distracting the learning progress classes. Nobody is doing that. And then we asked somebody I will not mention, are you sure this is happening? And he said, where? Where? I think we did this, we built this, we opened roads. These governors are more focused on opening roads. Why roads? The contractor is coming with money and there is a lucrative deal. So we go do that road hurriedly on Maram, then we leave it there. But when we are constructing the road, was the governor there to inspect the road? Because when you are inspecting the road, you will meet also the community members along the road. And maybe you will be able to get a problem or two that needs your attention. But nobody is going down there. The governors are staying at the headquarters office with big chase cars, police officers, and everybody else. And the advisors are now acting as, we are the season to go up, and you have to listen to us well. For 5 years, and problems are ignored. We were there. I was shocked from the stories that we got from the governor's office and from what we were seeing are completely different. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a pity. It's really a pity to see that some of these problems, because I feel like some of them are really minor problems, are really minor when you look at it from the outside, but it really means a lot to that pupil in that school. Something as simple as water, as you're saying, we may look at it as, there's water, things have been done to ensure that, there's plenty of water around, things like sanitary pads, like we've just talked about, something like, a child is going to school with, shorts that are completely torn. That does something to their psychology, They just won't be able to learn properly because they'll be thinking about, my neighbor here or my classmate doesn't seem to have such a problem as me. How are they looking at me? It's a pity. But I think, just as you've said, we should all just try take that as a challenge and try make change in the smallest way that we can. And as we finish with this conversation, maybe what are some of the similarities that you have encountered or noticed since you've worked with around the slums and the rural areas? What are some of the similarities on the challenges?
People down there in the inner villages are going. I think inner villages are also ghettos in some ways, and nobody have noticed that. I went to school for 4 years without seeing an area MCA coming to attend, maybe or visitors around.
Yeah.
But when I cleared my form 4, the first person to come and ask me, "Hey, I'm calling youth in a social hall. Would like you guys to come and give your views. We are going to vie." Was that same councillor? And I was like, when we were suffering down here in the village, where were you guys? So I'm challenging even these leaders. When you see a community, people or different organizations visiting your areas to come and talk to these kids and whatever, take a challenge. You don't need to donate. Just go and listen. Be in attendance. Listen to the problems that people are facing there. Listen to because we are neutral people. We are not these guys that are coming here, they are just only coming to maybe amplify. They are offering that a conducive atmosphere for these people to raise their issues. For me, I didn't say something. When we are going there, and I've just seen a reminder. We are also not leaving our vision behind of empowering youth through music and art. We are also going there with a mobile music recording studio, so that in those schools that we are going, they are also be able to learn on how music is produced. They produce it there, and we do everything and leave it there, so that 5 years down the line, they're able to go back to their YouTube channel of the school, see how a certain organization came, did everything, and they are able to remember, so that memory can keep them going also to do better things in the community. So my challenge is the women rep. I'm in need of women rep of CIA. I've heard she's Christine Ombaka, but we've tried to reach her through a number of people, and we are unable to reach her. We only want her to come and sit there and listen. Not really donate anything. Just listen to these issues these girls are talking about. That's all we need. Yeah.
Which is important. Why is it difficult to find her, maybe?
I don't know. Even in the village. You know your women rep? Yes, we know our women rep. When last did you see? Ni ngumu kumuona, but we have her number. The numbers we have here. Yes, but we can't reach her.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the permanent solution to just make an impact that will be long-lasting?
We are trying to look for partners that can help us train these people on how to make reusable sanitary pads. Yes. That's what we are really looking into that. And talking about that one, we have there is a way people can reach us. Yes.
How?
Through a mobile number, if you allow me.
Yeah, you can.
Mobile number is 0722 145 887. 0722 145 887. That is one way that people can reach us. And there is another number, in case that one is not working. Can I still give that? That is 924-7723. That's our pay bill, and you can reach us on that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you were supposed to be going to one of the schools on the 29th. If you can just mention that very quickly as we finish.
We are going to actually more than 3 schools, but we are focusing more on one school, that is Segere Primary School in Siaya. But we are going to visit a number of schools around that areas. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for coming to the program. And I think you really have, I wouldn't say an issue, but you really are calling upon our elected leaders to just come forth and see the things that people are going through on ground and not just looking at it, you know, just generally, to just come down to where the people who voted you are so that you understand what their concerns are. Maybe if you want something to say to
about my former school. Actually, I can talk
about the leader. Maybe you speak to the leaders out there as we finish.
I think the leaders outside there, the only thing you guys need to do, apart from going for the professionals, people who have done degrees, masters in different areas, also go for these local leaders, the people who are heading the CBOs, the NGOs, the self-help groups, at least a number of them to be even sitting in your board, various boards, as advisors. They will bring you the real issues that are affecting the people at the grassroots level. And here in Nairobi, because I went to school in Newton Educational Center in Mjiwaruma, I've never seen a single leader, apart from the area MP, that is Tim Wanyonyi, that have visited that school.
Okay.
I'm challenging you, go and see what people are suffering there, down there in Mjiwaruma. It is similar to what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the impact that you're trying to make in every possible way that you can. Now that is all we had for you right here on Transformative Leaders, but don't you go too far. Good Morning Kenya continues and Family Check is up next.
Ni mbinguni.
Tawa mama.
Ni nani unaita mama?
Pole mzee.
Ni kama hujasikia. Mokaka.
Ngoja. Ukiniangalia hivi ni unproductive na vile nimesahau watoto wengi mpaka huko nje.
Sasa unataka kuniambia baka hii madisi yote wamefinya?
Sio yeye peke yake baka hii wamefinya.
Mimi ndio mfinyi tu.
Haya basi umemaliza. Kucha sasa univinye.
Oh, nikufinya wewe ni hapa kado.
Nini nakusumbua wewe?
Mkipatana mwambie akuja nikatakate anikule.
Sasa nasikia kabisa ndaweza chukua dunia nipeleke
chwalo. You are wallowing. Hata nikiusia customers chakula inanukaga usee.
Sasa wataka kufanya wewe ndio bora zaidi kushinda huo maneja wangu.
Are you seriously saying that, Alba? Your brother-in-law's life is hanging by a thread, and you're worrying how to make sure that the numbers add up? You were unbelievable.
Relax, don't be so tense. Rodolfo, come quickly, Sergio's awake. There goes more money.
Tell us who hired you to hurt this man. Who? Speak up!
Amparo Reveles. I overheard something that I'd like to believe was Sergio's hallucination. He said he is in love with you, Isabel. Now please, tell me that isn't true. I cannot believe this.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wame come up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free. What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea Studio Mashinani huko Comarox, Langata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga, Kitui next to Manyanyoni Chiefs Camp na Kisumu City wako hapo KBC Station. Usilalie talent. This is your chance to commercialize and popularize your talent through Studio Mashinani.
And we are back. Thank you for staying tuned. Now, the chances of you getting offended in the course of the day must be pretty high. We have to agree that it is obvious we get offended by one thing or the other in the course of the day. But how do we go about maintaining or making sure that we overcome these offenses and bitterness so that we stop walking around having grudges in our hearts? We stop walking around feeling bitter about, several people who have probably offended you. Now, we are going to be looking at this particular topic on overcoming offense and bitterness for your own wellness. And to help me get deeper into this conversation, I am joined by, on my far right, we have Pastor Pearl Blessing, and just next to me is Pastor David Kimani. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it is good to have you here to just talk about this particular topic on bitterness and offense, which, as I have said, I hope you guys agree with me. Like, the chances of one getting offended in a day even, I wouldn't even say until in the long run, just today, the chances of me getting offended are pretty high. You agree with me on that?
I totally agree with you. As long as you're alive, you'll get offended. And so it's not about running away from being offended. It's the fact that offense will come. So what do you do when the offense comes?
Yeah.
You'll either get offended or you'll be the one offending someone.
Exactly.
So offense, it's part of life. So having known that it's part of life, now how do we deal with it once it comes? Because coming will definitely come.
It will definitely come,
Yes.
right? And just maybe, Pastor Pearl, if you can just tell us, what do you think is the root cause of offense and bitterness as well?
Okay. Usually what happens is that being offended is inevitable, and most of the things that cause people to be offended are not, you don't plan to offend, but you find you have offended.
Yes.
And you may be offended or offend someone. But usually what happens is that you need to be able to control and endure, because let's say when you are offended, you become hungry. Yeah. And if you don't forgive, then you become bitter. So you find bitterness comes after having been angry and not able to forgive. So, but offense, I want to tell you, even if I tell you, forgive me, I'm sorry. Let me tell you, I will do it again, because I'm human. It is here with us. It is continuous. We just need to know how to deal with it. Yes.
According to you, what do you feel is the root cause?
The root cause of offense is because we are different. For example, Pastor Paul, she's my friend. Her way of doing things are different from my own. So as we work together, either as workmates or maybe as an employer-employee relationship or a husband and wife kind of a relationship, offense will come. In our language, there's something we say that when two ions are in one box, they'll have to crash. We'll definitely have to crash at some point. And because of our differences, which is actually beauty in itself, but beauty sometimes, for it to complement one another, there has to be some crashing for it to work. So we are talking about you being an employee. Your employer will offend you. You being a husband, your wife will offend you. Being a sibling, your siblings will also offend you. Being a father-son relationship, parents will offend you. So offense, it's something we can't run away from it. And the root cause of it is simply because we are different. And even as we keep on talking about, we'll even understand some people, when they offend us, they are actually not bad people. It's simply because they are different and we are different. We are coming from different places. And now for us to come to an agreement, there has to be that crashing. But it's not crashing to destroy, to put us asunder. It's crashing that we can actually work on it and just see whether it's going to bring the best out of every one of us. Yes.
And how is one able to catch themselves, you know, before they get that feeling of bitterness? Because when you offend me, of course, I can feel that you've offended me, but I need to work on myself in order for me not to get to a point where it turns into bitterness, that I get extremely bitter with you. So how am I able, as a person, to catch myself before I get to that point?
Okay. So I love what Pastor Paul talked about bitterness and anger. But the genesis of bitterness and anger is an offense. An offense is a seed. And once that seed finds a ground for it to mature, it becomes anger, then it gravitates to bitterness.
Yes.
So once this offense comes, I personally believe as human beings we should walk with a bag full of forgiveness.
Which is difficult sometimes.
Which is very difficult. Which is very difficult.
Not as easy.
But
easy.
You go ahead with life with such a bag of forgiveness that anybody that comes your way, some things they'll say or something they'll do will agitate you. But the first thing you do is first forgive. But again now, in some sector, for example, in a marriage sector, when someone does offend you in any way, you have to sit down and have a conversation. And I always say, be prepared to have even those hard conversations. But even as I'm coming to have that hard conversation with you, I'm coming from a place of, you've offended me, but I have forgiven you. But for the sake of us to continue together, let's deal with it. That it does not repeat itself. Because I don't want this seed to grow in me that's going to bring anger. If I don't deal with it, then it's going to mature to bitterness. And bitter people never get better. And what we are seeing today, even in domestic violence, it's an offense that came that was not dealt with. It birthed anger. Then that anger grew to bitterness. And when someone is bitter, they can harm themselves, they can harm the next person. And so we need to learn when you get offended, the first thing is forgiveness. Forgive, then let's deal with it. When your employee offends you, forgive, but let's deal with it. So we are not dealing from a place of anger. First of all, I've let you go. And I've come to realize when you're working with people, please get to know their intentions are right. For example, if you're working in a company together and your fellow employee offends you, they mean well. Because our work here is to get the job done. But even as we're getting the work done, we will crash at some point. So please don't see like I'm trying to get you out of the job or anything. I'm only addressing an issue based on where I know how. And once you realize that person, they did that, but that's the best they knew they could do. Then again, you'll be able to forgive so it does not gravitate to anger and bitterness.
But what of those who offend you intentionally? Because we're saying sometimes someone means good, but they may tend to offend you because maybe your ideologies are not the same. But what of that person who is just intentionally trying to, poke you?
There are people who will do something because they are planned to do it, and maybe they just want to crush you, or it's about upbringing, where you have come from. There's a family setup that you find people are always angry, they are bitter, they don't know how to handle things, and they don't exactly plan to agitate you, but the way they handle things and they do it, they will automatically offend you.
Yeah.
So such a person, what you do with them, because they will do it and do it again, you need to have tolerance with them. The other thing is that it's about emotions. When you look at issues of offense and anger and bitterness, you find that there's something about emotional intelligence of that person, how they're able to deal with the emotion that people around them, how they manage it. So if they're not able to control the emotional intelligence, of course, offense goes higher than the person who is able to control their emotions. You see, so it is not. It could be maybe you sat down and planned to come and ask someone or agitate someone, or maybe it is within you, just the way you do things, you offend people. So such a person, if is in your environment, you need to have tolerance with them, because you still need to help them. Maybe you are the one who to bring them back to track. Yes.
They say that practice makes perfect. I don't know if it's the same when it comes to forgiveness. Is it possible for someone to just try and practice forgiveness? You know, there are people who will tell you, this is how I am. You know, they get angry quickly, and when you question them, they'll be like, but this is how I am. I mean, you should meet my mom, you should meet my sisters, my brothers. This is how our family is. This is how our community actually is, because even here in Kenya, we say that there are certain communities ambao ni wanakasirika haraka. Usicheze na huyo ni wasijui wapi. So is it possible for someone to just be able to practice this and not just say that, you know, with me, this is how I am. I don't really, you know, I'm not able to forgive quickly. Is forgiveness something that someone can practice?
I agree with what you're saying, that someone says, this is who I am.
Yeah, this is who I am.
But does it have to remain that way? If it doesn't have to remain that way, then we can work it.
Yeah.
And you can practice to forgive from the little things that happens in your daily life.
Yeah.
For example, like you're driving to town and you have the right of the way, then someone just comes. One of the reactions you want to do is just get agitated and like, how about you say, you know what? Could be he's rushing to hospital. Maybe he has an important meeting to attend. That's why you practice from the little things. And if you can master the act of forgiving the little things, they do not culminate to big things. So it's something you can actually learn. And no human being is born in a particular way. Things we learn. We learn bitterness. And when things happen to you, please don't react to them. Respond to them. And responding simply means when someone does something or says something, you step back a bit, reason, then you can respond to it. Those minutes, those seconds of, you know, taking a backseat and just actually thinking, what has just happened? There'll be some wisdom born within you that will help you to respond the right way. But if you become a generation of reaction, that's why someone can just, you know, drive the wrong way and you feel like you just want to respond, and so you accelerate your car and you want to hit them. That is reacting.
Another accident.
Then there's an accident. How about we learn how to respond? All right? When someone, maybe like in a marriage setup, your wife or your husband does something, how about you first reason and think, why did they do that? First of all, try to get yourself in their shoes. Where are they coming from? Why did they do that? Because as much as I'm coming from a place of our family is bitter and angry, that doesn't have to be my story. And if you don't make life better for yourself, this cycle will keep on repeating itself to the next generations to come. So the essence is this: how do we cut the flow?
There's something that we call in communication response and stimulus and response. So usually what happens when you are getting angry, you are stimulated to get angry. So between the stimulus and response, there's a period. You can choose to relax and you can choose to act. So it is now the wisdom that you have and how you apply it, which will not make you look foolish. Because some of the things that people do, you may see a very big person, a great person, but when they are angry, the way the things they do, they shame themselves and lose value. You see, let me just give a reference of in the Bible.
Please do.
There was an advisor to King David. His name was Ahithophel. And the Bible says that he was like his counsel was like the counsel of God.
Absolutely.
And exactly in the chapter 16 of 2 Samuel on 23, he was like the counsel of God. But chapter 17, 23, he hanged himself. Why? His counsel was not taken and another one took his place. And then he could have said, let me start a consultancy of being like the counsel of God. But he was so much crushed because he was not able to handle emotions. And he went and hanged himself. And that's what the end of that man. Who was like, his counsel was like the counsel of God. So however great you are, if you are not able to handle your emotions, you may crush yourself and end your life. So you see the difference.
I get that.
Yes.
And on that note, if you allow me, we'll just take a break and then we'll come back and continue with this conversation.
It's okay, it's okay.
One year in office, 23 ministries. Time to review the journey in implementing the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. What is your assessment of the government's performance? Will they ace the performance test? Tune in to KBC News at 9 p.m. for the government scorecard.
KBC Channel 1 magazine programs strive to disseminate news and information.
Welcome to Happening in the World of Entertainment
and achievements of individuals navigating through life.
Be part of the intelligent conversation upon KBC Channel 1.
Related to the interest of Kenyan public on various subjects of national importance.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news,
challenges, and remarkable stories of individuals with disabilities.
And you have a say.
Our magazine programs empower communities with words for conversations and a common language to approach the world.
For your infotainment needs, we have a great range of programs.
Welcome back. And in case you're just joining us, our topic of discussion today is overcoming offense and bitterness. And before we went for that break, you wanted to top up on what Pastor Pal was saying. So if we could just get into that.
Just thought about it. When Ahithophel killed himself, this was a man that was ranked. His words were like the very words of God. But offense ended up his life. And I'm thinking how many people have lost precious things because of offense. Marriages have been broken because of an offense that would have been dealt with. People have lost amazing jobs because of an offense that would have actually dealt with. People have walked away from opportunities that would have upskilled their lives, but they were offended and they walked away from it. And I just remember that scripture in the book of Job 22 verses 25, where the Bible says, another dies in bitterness of soul, never having tasted of prosperity. Offense has robbed many people their destinies. Offense has robbed so many people of precious things. Voices would have had, they have actually been silenced because of an offense. Ahithophel would have done much with his life if he dealt with that offense. But because he did not deal with it, he actually died like a fool. He hanged himself.
Death of a fool.
It's a death of a fool. And this is the importance of us dealing with offense, because it doesn't matter how high you are, offense can actually bring you down. You've seen leaders on a very high position, they get offended, then you say something in public, and that one becomes your downfall. So being offended is not the issue, it's how you handle it once it comes.
Exactly. It's how you teach yourself to handle.
Teach yourself how to handle.
And if there's something that, or rather there's something that maybe some people do not really look at when we talk about offense, and that is, most of us think, for me to be offended by someone, they must have done something that is really bad. But there's one key thing that I feel like is very important, and that is words. You know, one can easily get offended simply by just someone's words towards them. It doesn't have to be, they hit me, they did this or that. The words. And one thing that is very important to note is that words, once spoken, they may never be taken back. As much as you may ask for forgiveness, yes, the person will forgive you, but you already said those words, and those words will be engraved in someone's mind. If you can just talk a bit about that and how we are able to just catch ourselves before saying something, you know, when angry.
What I'll say is that words are instruments of creation. When you say, you create. And the life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Yes.
So when you say something, you have already brought out something, bad something, and that you cannot bring back.
Yeah.
So when you, okay, let's say you have spoken, it's already out there.
Yeah.
It's through now negotiating and bringing it back by maybe talking. Because if I talk to you negatively and I keep quiet and we never negotiate, we never talk about it, maybe we'll keep quiet, then start burning inside. It has brought a lot of sicknesses in people. Let me tell you, majority of cancers and depressions, and it's about offense. And maybe someone who you cannot be able to talk to and tell them, this is not the right thing you did to me. Then it starts killing you inside. And maybe someone now is listening to us and somewhere in the hospital, they are very sick, they're in the verge of death, but it's surely offense. If only they can just let me forgive them, let them go. 3 weeks ago, I went somewhere and we found a woman who had it's like arthritis.
Yeah.
But when they check with the hospital, they cannot find anything. But that woman was offended by a neighbor. As she would say now, tell everybody, if going to heaven is forgiving this woman, I will never go to heaven. You see now, she has bound herself with bitterness. And that day she accepted to forgive that woman. And she was free. So as much as those words has been spoken, you who have been agitated, it is you to make a decision, because when you are angry with someone, it's like taking a knife, you are piercing your chest, and I'm expecting you to die. And maybe you offended me and you forgot. But me, I'm hurt and I cannot sleep. I don't know. We are all natural. Let's be practical. You've been offended that you find like you can't sleep. You remember and the sleep goes.
True.
It's natural.
Yeah.
But if you forgive that person, whether they have discussed with you or not, but you have let it from your heart, release that person, you get healed. Because it is hurting you. The offended gets hurt than the offender. And some people offended you and forgot. Maybe a romantic relationship. Someone has dumped you. And you are here, you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't wear. And maybe you're swimming somewhere in Zanzibar. Yeah? Who is being hurt? Yeah, you may have to negotiate, and sometimes you have to forgive yourself, because it starts with you. Yeah, because if you don't do that, that is purely poison. Taking poison with this cup, I'm looking just to see whether you are going to fall down. I will die.
It's impossible, yeah.
So you start with self. You forgive yourself. Those words came out and they were spoken against you. They hurt you and you are agitated. But let me tell you, when you let that go, you are free. Then you can negotiate. There are people that have offended you. Maybe you need to forgive each other, but you don't need to bring them back around you. Because everybody has a inner council. And if you are surrounded by bitter people, I tell you, you're going nowhere. When you are bitter, your goals, you can never achieve them. You cannot write anything down and achieve it when you are bitter. When you just want to think about it, bitterness strikes. So first forgive self, then you work towards them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm trying to look at a case where probably someone got raped. See, this is a big offense.
Very big.
How am I training myself to forgive that person? And probably it's not even a stranger, it is someone you know. You are raped by a relative.
And they are with you there.
Yeah, and you see them every single day and nothing was done to them. There was no justice. How do you then again come to me and tell me you need to let go of this bitterness? Because I'm sure that is not easy to do. So how does one go about that?
One of the things, Vivian, I want to let you know is that sometimes we are not in control of what people do to us. But we have full control how we react to the things that are done to us. I'm not in control of the words you speak to me, but I'm in control of how I'm going to respond to the words you've spoken to me. We do not forgive for the other people. You forgive for yourself. Even if the offender doesn't come to say that they are sorry, for me, I forgive. And the reason I'm going to forgive is because every time I remember the scenario, let's say, for example, someone was raped, and you keep on remembering, you've never dealt with it. So you keep on flashing back what happened. What you're simply doing, you are giving the offender the privilege to harm you over and over again. So if you insult me and I've not let you go in my heart, I'm simply giving you the privilege to abuse me over and over again. Forgiveness is powerful. Forgiveness is taking power away from your offender back to yourself.
To yourself.
Yeah.
I don't forgive for you. I forgive for me. And I always say in life, I have to be the first priority. The reason I'm going to forgive is because I cannot take poison and I'm here expecting you, Vivian, to fall, die, and I'm going to have swallowed it. It doesn't happen that way. So for my own sake, I love myself too much not to give you the power to destroy me. So forgiveness is for me. I come first here. I don't choose what you do to me, but I choose how I'm going to respond to whatever you did to me. And for the sake of the future that I want, I have to deal with this toxic situation. Yes.
So it's upon oneself to just choose to.
It's upon oneself.
That's where now there comes help from others, because maybe it's a young girl, someone who doesn't have strength to overcome. Maybe you know, for you to overcome such thing, you have having a very spiritual strength to be able to see, I can go through this. Maybe you apply the word of God. Maybe it's a weak person, they will need an help. You see, like rape is not something easy.
It's true.
Or a physical attack is not something easy. But when maybe this person gets someone to take them through and show them that even if you owe this person, surely nothing is going to change. But like we find that if someone was raped, even if they not easy to get married, you find like every man to you is a rapist. But you need to say that was a rapist, and others are not rapists. So you accept another one who will show you love and make you overcome the rape that you went through. But now you need help. Maybe an extended help may be needed here, depending on now. So there are people who have been crushed and they have been raped in the family, as you said, and never even shared it. And they kept it, it is killing them. And let me tell you, your destiny is, you can never get into your destiny when here there are mountains that are standing on your way. You have to crush them and let this path be through so that you can get where you are going. And when, as he said, when you allow or the offender to put you down, it's like give them your power and you become weak. So I get back my power and I say, it happened. Let me move on. And that's where forgiveness comes. It is not easy, but it is the way. If you don't, you are, that's the end of you. You will never achieve what you're supposed to become.
Yeah, because bitterness has a lot of impacts, and I would want us to get into some of the impacts of bitterness. What are the impacts of bitterness?
One of the impacts of bitterness is the fact that you hurt, then because you are hurting, you bleed on people
who didn't hurt
you. Who didn't even cut you.
Yeah.
You defile them.
You defile everybody. One of the facts about an offended person is that they offend other people. So you're going to offend me in the morning, then everybody who comes my way that particular day, I will land on them. Simply because, not because they are bad people, but because I'm offended.
It is in you.
It is in me. You know, it's not you, it is me. And offended people equally tries to gravitate towards other offended people. For example, you see in town smokers in one particular place, they're all smoking. And they can have a conversation. And the conversation can actually flow. These guys don't know each other by name. They don't know where they're coming from. What is bringing them together is the smoking part. There are people who have put themselves in cocoon of friends they're not actually not friends. They are offended. So Pearl comes and the marriage broke and she left with a lot of offense. Then she meets Carol, who was offended, and so they are here. Then another one comes, so they have a group of people that are offended. That's why you have a team of women going around saying all men are crazy. And they're actually not friends. If someone deals with the offense in their heart, what they do, they walk away from the team. All right? So you have to deal with the offense because of tomorrow. If you don't deal with offense from the previous relationship, you carry that mess into the next. If you leave a job place offended, having not dealt with it, you carry that offense into the next company. So history will repeat itself because you did not deal with it. If a wife is offended by the husband, she carried that offense to the kids. So you'll punish kids unnecessarily. And the house, I know they messed up, but the magnitude of punishment was too high. Not because, it's not even about the thing. It's because you're coming from a place of offended. And so now we have a generation that is bleeding everywhere. On the social media, I think Kenyans were the most offended people. You'll share something.
Especially on Twitter.
On Twitter. People will say, oh man of crazy things. You're like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
That person is offended. Maybe you've been looking for a job for too long. Now I'm scale up. So you're wondering, how comes they are scaling? I'm still here. So they're going to say something that's going to be insultful. Not because of the thing you posted or the thing you wrote down. It's because they're offended.
Yeah. And they say hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And hurt people, they not only hurt people, they even hurt themselves. Because how can I take poison to my tummy for me to go off? I mean, if you don't deal with it, it's going to destroy everything about you. So for the sake of the next thing, please deal with this one.
Yeah. What are some of the keys to conquer offense, and what are some of the keys also to conquer bitterness?
As I come to that, I wanted to refer to what you said, the impact. I was referring to people who are very bitter in life. Moses is said to have been the meekest person in the Bible, but he was an angry man, and the anger made him lose his destiny. You see, so let's come now to the keys. The keys of overcoming.
Yes, how do we conquer this bitterness that we're talking about? How do we conquer offense?
It is just having to work on your emotional intelligence, that you sit down and work on it. You need to sit down and look at, I say you study self, call yourself in a me time and look at what have been happening in your life. Study. Take maybe a month or two and write down things that you have gone through. Mostly will be offenses. Then you see, how can I be able to overcome this? And usually when you journal, in journaling, like what you are doing now, when you journal something, you either impact it or release it. You see it? So if you have been offended, usually we say that journal. And the other thing is get time to rest. Most of the things that we have is pressure. We overcome ourselves with a lot of things that we do. You work, you know, you people, you are given leave. But people who are in business and their own things, they don't take time to rest. I was telling Pastor here that there's a time I had a very severe headache, and I was like, I need a head scan. And the doctor told me, no, you're not sick. You are tired. Go for an holiday. There are times that you need to take off because, it's like your mind is like you like a bicycle that you put pressure. It is full. So when you are stirred up just a small thing, you agitate because you have packed a lot of things. You need to take time and have time off. What you do, as you have said, write things that usually offend you. See people who are around you offend you. See how to handle them. There are people that you need to drop. Not to drop them, they go away from you. But maybe there are people around you that are causing this. Study your pattern of your life and see how you can be able to handle this. But for offense, let me tell you, it is here, it is inevitable. It cannot go anywhere. You'll be offended and offended again. Just know how to relate and to endure. Yes. Yeah.
Pastor David, from your point of view, what are some of the keys to just be able to conquer bitterness?
First of all, speak it out. Speak it out. If someone offended me, I have to say it. That one really hurt. The moment of acknowledging that you offended me, I'm speaking it out, as Pastor Paul is saying, I'm releasing that pressure out. Don't harbor it in your heart. Because if you harbor it in your heart now as an offense, it will grow to anger. It will get to bitterness. And bitter people never get better. So let's not first get there. So once you offend me, one thing I have to say it. Talk about it. See someone say, by the way, I'm totally offended.
Yeah.
If it's the offender, meet them and just have that hard conversation. Tell them, hey, you really offended me. If it's not them, maybe you cannot sit your boss down and say you offended me. Go somewhere and say, by the way, my boss today has really offended me. In a way of you saying it, you're actually releasing it.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, there are people who love writing, personally love writing. Write it down. And after you've written it, don't write it so that you can come and read it tomorrow. Andika na uchome yo kitu.
Yeah, andika ikutoke.
Ikutoke. Just let it go.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to take a long drive, personally I love taking drives far away. Do that. Release that pressure. Because if you do not release that pressure, it's gonna burst. Let it out. The things we hear, they have a way of getting out by how we say it. So it doesn't matter where you find yourself, please release that pressure. It is not worth you carrying that baggage. Someone say that life is beautiful and it's a long journey. The best way to get there is go light.
Go light.
Go light.
Yeah,
Usibebana na mizigo za offense. Because manze kubarabara someone will offend you, get into the office someone will offend you, back at home someone will offend you, your kids will offend you. How do you carry all that baggage with you? Really, let it go. It's too much. Let it go. Speak about it. You know, if you love music, listen to some music, make some dance moves. You know, let it out.
Yeah.
Let it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the best thing that you're saying is that you should know how to let out and know how you let out. Because for someone like me, actually, when someone offends me and when I feel like I'm in a really terrible mood and all, I love to listen to music. I feel like that calms me down. So I think it's upon each person to know what works for you, what makes me calm down. Just, you know, have that inner meeting with yourself.
Exactly.
Even yourself and
I myself and I.
Call yourself. Kwa hiyo mkutano, and then you just get to figure out, okay, how do I let out in a way that is not offensive to other people and in a way that will not hurt me? Because as you guys have just helped us understand, is that bitterness is the worst thing that you can carry in your heart. Grudges are the worst things, because many a times you're carrying this grudge towards someone and that person doesn't even know that you have that grudge for them. So they go about with their business like
you are dying.
You know, like it's just normal, but for you have them in your heart, you're cursing them all the time. So I get that. And are you able to know when you are getting bitter? Are you able to know? Is it possible for you to realize and catch yourself and know that, okay, I'm getting bitter? Is it possible?
Crashing.
Is it possible to know?
Sometimes it's not easy because there are things that will just happen like this. But there's something that can be on your way and you see, if I take this path, automatically I'll be bitter. I'll be offended. And that one you can avoid. But those things just happen like it comes to you. Maybe, let's say, for example, you have a business and you have a neighbor and they do something that hurts you. And it's like, if you were to arise and go and you arise to do something, it will end up in, maybe you even shame yourself. So you can choose maybe to get someone to send, tell so-and-so, I don't like what they are doing. Unless it's not repeat again, you will have and escaped that could have happened, because it has happened, it was bad. But if anything that happens, you arise and you should know, this is, you're stepping on me, you can't step on me. And in our tribe, in our family, we are here. Let me tell you, that's why people are told that if you don't learn from your mother, the world will teach you, because that what happens in your family is not for us here. Yeah, the world is secular. So what happens in your mother's house is for you, for your family or your tribe. So if you bring it out here, you will get in a police station. Yeah, because you arise and maybe attack someone, and of course you meet the law. So it is you to learn how to be able to handle those things. Yes.
I truly believe when you're getting out of your space, there's some signals. You'll sense them or feel them. For example, there's a way you talk. So someone comes and asks you a question, then you react. Then when someone's leaving and you're having your own time, you'll be like, by the way, why did I speak to them in such a manner? So that will tell you something is wrong. And that is of a necessity for you to have your own personal time. Because your personal time, in that time, what really happens, you're able to have some flashbacks of the communication you've had within the course of the day. Then you'll be like, David came my way and he was requesting something and I did not respond in a kind manner. That is not me. Or rather, if you cannot be able to spot it, people that are so close to you will. For example, you react maybe in our job setup, in your best friend, you react in a particular way. Then your friend comes and whisper, Vivian, are you okay? The way you have responded. Or maybe in a home setup, your wife or husband comes and say, hey, baby, the way you've responded, is everything okay? Then you'll be like, by the way,
that was not right.
You just erupt. All right? So you will definitely know, once you know that, one of the ways of fighting a thing is identifying it. Identify something is wrong and I have to let it go. Yes.
And is it possible to develop a spirit whereby you can easily just get over things?
Yes. Yes, it is possible. As we started by saying that forgiveness is something you can actually master along the way, whereby you don't allow small things to get into your heart. And sometimes how you do it, when someone does something offensive, just laugh about it. You don't dwell on it.
Yeah, you don't need to deal with it.
You don't have to deal with it.
Even there are those people who keep quiet when they're offended, they don't talk.
Yeah.
So when they don't talk, it even feels more. And that person, if they walk out, maybe they're offended in their house, and they keep quiet, they don't talk about it, and they walk out maybe to think they're releasing it. The first person who offends on the way gets a bitter action that what could have been happening in the house. But as he has said, laughter. Laughter is it is a medicine.
Just laugh it off.
Yeah, just laugh it off. Just laugh, because it's only 6 a.m. in the morning and someone has just offended you. Or maybe that in the house you're asking your wife, where is my other pair of shoes? Then she responds in a way likely to suggest like something is wrong. If you don't deal with that, you're going to mess people in the office. You're going to mess your house girl. You'll mess everybody. By the time the end of the day, you have messed everybody. That's what we're talking about. You will bleed on people who did not cut you. So you got to deal with it. And once you deal with it, you cut that flow. There's no that continuity.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I've really enjoyed it, by the way. And we're glad to have had you on set to talk about this. And for the people who are watching us at home, I am sure that you've gotten to learn a thing or two. And also the main thing here is that it is all upon you. It doesn't matter who offended you, who is offending you at the moment. It is upon you to choose how to react to this offense, so that you don't get to a point where you're extremely angry, you're always agitated, you are you become bitter, because bitter people
never get it.
That is not where you want to be. So take it upon yourself to just work on yourself. This is where we call it a wrap right here on Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who has been tuned in. We do this again tomorrow, same time and place. My name is Vivian Degwa. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
After Tuchel's perfect debut, things got pretty rocky.
It was a very, very good match over 60, 65 minutes. Goal comes from out of absolutely nothing. This can happen, but we were not able to show a reaction. The problems are obvious on the pitch. We don't look fresh. We don't look excited. We don't look like with energy to come back if things do not go our way. Yeah, if you lose, you can, of course, lose top of the table.
The visitors know that they're potentially just 5 wins away from the title. And Adeyemi goes down.